Bound 70 past there in a bit of a slowdown that goes back onto the other side of K. Now, westbound 6440, it's moderate volume at Hampton, heavy at 270. We've got southbound 270 picking up volume between Olive and 64. And 55 is already slow south of Gasconade, headed down toward Bates. Things look good, though, on the Poplar Street Bridge. This report brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. 100 years. That's how long it has been repairing and replacing garage doors for same-day repair service and no extra charge for evening or Saturday service. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Schedule online, overheaddoorstlewis.com. I'm Sue Thomas. That's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, we do a great feature on Tuesdays now with George Rosenthal from ThrottleNet, which is called Tech Talk Tuesdays. We learn so much. I feel like you should be earning, like a bachelor's degree or maybe even a PhD when you listen to George on a given Tuesday, because he always comes up with stuff that we, sometimes have never heard about, and some of the stuff that you need to be aware of, because especially if you're a business owner, one button that is pressed the incorrect way, or if information leaks out, you get a data breach. That's bad for you and for your customers. It could cost you your business. So you don't want that to happen. You want to trust a company like ThrottleNet here in St. Louis to handle everything related to your IT. They're the only IT company that backs their cybersecurity with a $500,000 cyber protection program. And what George will tell you is that most businesses don't know where they stand. Are you secure? Are you one mistake away from a breach? Well, they can help you, because they're going to offer you a free baseline IT security audit. You can go to throttlenet.com/971 for your free baseline IT security audit. They know that if your business relies on technology, and it probably does, this is a great first step. They are everything IT related. They don't just fix problems. They provide full IT strategy, security, and IT support for your business so you can focus on what you do best. Throttlenet.com.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. My best advice to you when hiring a lawyer for your injury case is simple. If you know court personnel, ask them who they'd hire. They know. If you know an insurance adjuster, ask them. They know. And then ask them about us. Ask them about Morgan & Morgan. They know. I look forward to talking to you soon. There's only one Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, for the people. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
When storm damage strikes or it's just time for a new roof, call my friend Cornelius at C. Marion Roofing. This is Ryan Wiggins. I've used him multiple times for roofs and bathrooms. He's licensed and insured for both homes and businesses. Start to finish, he'll handle your insurance claim and get you the job done right, fast, reliable, and with quality you can count on. I can testify to that. Call C. Marion Roofing today, 314-399-2140. That's 314-399-2140. Or type in C. Marion Roofing for all your projects.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
The Mark Reardon Show is St. Louis Conservative.
We got Phil Holloway, Fox News contributor, coming up at the bottom of the hour. He's going to update us on the very latest with the search for Nancy Guthrie, which continues to be very, very strange. Right now, a visit with Illinois Congressman Mike Bost. It's been a little bit. How are you, Mike? Mike, how are you?
Mark, I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
A lot of stuff to cover. Let me kind of start with the shutdown that was a mini shutdown that's back open, and we got spending bills. We have a little bit more of what we call regular order with some of these appropriation bills. So where are you on just the whole process of allocating money from the taxpayers to all these programs in the federal government? Are you satisfied with what happened last week moving forward?
Yeah. So the bill we sent over to the Senate reduced spending by quite a bit in a majority of areas. Not necessarily in defense. It was up, but overall, each one of these 12 bills, and I think I've had that conversation with you before, ever since the 1976 budget act, you have supposed to pass 12 bills. And in that many years, all 12 bills, if we get this done, will have passed 3 times.
Yeah.
Since 1976.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
So the answer is we did our work. We did, as you said, you mentioned regular order. 96% of the budget is now signed into law. Okay. Which means the other 4% is that which was agreed to by the Democrats, bicameral, by the Democrats and the Republicans to accept on these areas that are the other 4%, which is the Homeland Security bill part. Until we had the incidents that occurred in Minnesota, and then all of a sudden the Democrats said, no, we're going to go back to defund police, which is not acceptable. But and you know what's really wild is in the CR, we actually are going to be spending more money because we'll be under the old Biden budget, which was during COVID, which actually put a lot of money in. And so therefore, the ICE can keep doing their job, everything like that. But we are coming up on the deadline for that. We agreed that we would only expand it for the few days to try to get back and negotiate. But what that really means is that the potential of long-term shutdown is still out there for border security, TSA, the Coast Guard, FEMA, and everything that falls under that. So I have to say my colleagues on the other side of the aisle are more interested in weakening the immigration enforcement and putting law enforcement at risk for a political soundbite that said they held out for their extreme left. And I just don't understand.
Yeah, so they're kind of holding that part of the process hostage still is what you're saying.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
And then what are your thoughts, though, then, Mike, on what happened the last month in Minneapolis with immigration enforcement?
Good.
And
I'm glad you asked that.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you asked that. Because, look, our ICE officers are doing their job only in these extreme cities that have been sanctuary cities or sanctuary states, including mine. But then Minneapolis has always went over the edge with what they do. And then they bring these protesters out and encourage them to actually impede law enforcement, which is a crime, by the way. And the fact that I have to believe that law enforcement on the ground, that is local law enforcement and state law enforcement, were really upset by the fact that they were told that they couldn't be involved. Now they can be involved because, it was a case where they sent Tom Homan in, and I'm glad they did.
Yeah, me too.
Tom Homan, he's not going to give up on the mission, but he can negotiate hardball pretty good, and obviously has, because I really believe the insanity of Tim Walsh, who I served with as a member of Congress, by the way, before he became governor, and then also the mayor, which is even more extreme. This is not a good look for them. It is not. And now Holman has said, we'll do protocol, everything like that. The investigation will go into to the ones that were shot as it's supposed to be.
Right.
But it's not going to be an in-state investigation. It was a federal issue. So the feds will do the investigation.
Yeah, well, and that's what should happen. And I'm glad. I think my only regret on all this is that I wish Tom was there a little sooner. In maybe
True.
Things would have been a little bit calmer. But obviously you can't give up on the enforcement, and there's still support for booting out criminals in this country for sure. But it's amazing what Minnesota does, to your point, Mike, compared to these other states that aren't sanctuary states. I mean, it's not that hard if you want to cooperate. They just don't want to cooperate.
Right. And so let me tell you about the second person that was shot. So I did my due diligence because it was in my committee of jurisdiction. As soon as we found out that this person was a employee of the VA, we automatically you started seeing and hearing on the social media pages, from the right, he was a terrible employee. He went off the wall. He did this. He did this. He did this. We did a full investigation into his records and exactly what it is that he was as an employee. He was a very standard employee, did not have anything or any ties with any of this. This was all off duty,
right,
which is his business. Now, does that say that I'm okay with him impeding law enforcement, getting into it with law enforcement? No, I'm not. Of course, remember, my father, when he raised me, if I got in trouble somehow, and did, in high school and did things like that,
right,
the answer was always, why were you there?
Yeah.
And what was it your business that you were going to be there? If you stayed over here, I mean, that would be the argument, right?
Well, no, you know what? It is there. That's the thing. Like, one of the things that I've been critical of, and look, I've been criticizing the administration on some of this stuff too, but on the other side, they never ever, to your point, seem to give even like a centimeter on the notion that this behavior was reckless. It was, he looked unhinged. I'm sure he did a good job as a nurse, but he didn't come off that way in the video, certainly from the 13th, right? Not a peaceful protester.
No, he did not. And so, like I said, became our job. Was there a problem with him at work? I just want to make sure that the people know and understand we're doing our due diligence and saying, no, he's not. He wasn't a problem at work. And no one said, oh, boy, he goes out and does all this protesting and everything like that. He was a VA employee. So.
Congressman Mike Bost is with me this afternoon. Take me back. We have not visited for a little while. And a couple of weeks ago, man, this goes back to mid-January. Mm-hmm. We're in mid-February almost. But there was a Supreme Court case that you were involved with.
Right.
Tell me about that and what happened there.
Okay. Well, the Supreme Court ruled. What happened is that my original lawsuit against the state of Illinois is that they actually collect and count ballots 14 days after Election Day, not by Election Day, or not ballots that were postmarked prior to Election Day. So they're just continuing part, and this is where the state argues, and they go, oh no, they have to be postmarked. No, they're not being honest. That bill says they don't have to be postmarked. They will continue to count for 14 days. Therein lies the problem. But when I've started back in May of 2022 when we filed a lawsuit on this case. When it went to the lower courts here in Illinois, up in northern Illinois, the judge ruled I did not have standing,
mm-hmm.
which I thought was pretty weird because I have money, time, therefore I am harmed. In the time those 14 days of voters are being counted, you still have to have staff and attorneys and everything like that. So we were surprised that the lower courts made that decision. Then it went to the appeals court, and the appeal court agreed with the lower court. But the Supreme Court read this case over, and next thing we know, we were told they've decided they're going to take it up. And what happened was in October, which was very interesting to have your name. I went in and sat in the Supreme Court while the case was being there, and it was really interesting to have all the Supreme Court justices pronounce your name correctly. But when the decision came down here a few weeks ago, it wasn't a narrow decision. It was a 7-2 decision that was led by Chief Justice John Roberts. It even got the backing of one of the liberal justices, Elena Kagan, along with the other 6 conservative judges. So I'm very happy with the decision because here's why. One, now what we'll do is we will go back into the lower courts and actually go on the merits of the case because now it has been ruled by the Supreme Court. I have standing.
Right.
Here's what else it does. There are a tremendous amount of cases out there where the lower courts on things like this have been making statements that certain people do not have standing. Candidates that do not have standing, voters who do not have standing, political groups that are in the political action groups that do not have standing. So it was really a weird group of people who were in support of it. The ACLU was in support that I had standing. Many of the sides of groups, both liberal and conservative, said I had standing, and the Supreme Court did rule that way. In fact, there's another case coming up from Mississippi regarding the post-election day recipients in Mississippi on mail-in ballots.
Yep.
Yeah, and so what's really wild is now that is going to force the Supreme Court's taken this up. That one is called Mississippi case, and it's Watson versus the Republican National Committee. So now they're going to go in and rule on another issue, and what this is doing is it's pushing back towards to try to tell the voter that there needs to be election integrity. And integrity means, yes, you can vote, but there is an election day according to the Constitution, according to law. That election day is the second Tuesday, or the first Tuesday in November of an even number year after the first Monday. That is it. It isn't or 14 days after or whatever. And the argument is kind of wild that they're putting out there because, and Mark, this is so the people on the other side argue, well, what about our military? We've always filled our military vote. That's called absentee ballots. It's been around forever.
Yeah.
My first time voting, I voted for Ronald Reagan. I lived in Southern Illinois, but I was in the Marine Corps in 29 Palms, California, and guess what I did? I voted for Ronald Reagan. So that's not stopping our military from voting. But when you have votes being counted and not postmarked, you are swinging the door open for fraud.
Absolutely.
And it'll be real wild as we move forward because I think we're going to be able to push the SAFE Act, I hope, out of the Senate and hopefully out of the House and get that signed into law where something really crazy is involved with that, a voter ID.
I know. It's unbelievable that I can't believe we're still arguing about voter ID. I've been doing this my entire career as a talk radio host. It's ridiculous. It's a 95.5 issue, and we should be done with it. Congressman Mike Bost, always great to have you on. By the way, on your case, it just is hilarious that before the Supreme Court, it was KBJ who couldn't even, define what a woman was in her confirmation hearings, that writes the dissent in your case. And obviously, you get Sotomayor as well. Yeah.
It was pretty interesting.
Thanks for catching up. All right. Take care, Mike. See ya.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, it hasn't been a bad commute so far. We're off to a pretty good start. Westbound 70 looks great out of downtown. There is an incident on the shoulder, though, westbound 70 past Bryan Road, so some volume behind that. 6440, moderate volume approaching Hampton out through Clayton Skinker, and again at 270, eastbound slowing at 270 as well. Southbound 270 slowing at, looks like just Ladue Road right now. It goes back to about Olive. At 55, slowing at Bates. If you're headed into Illinois, we look fine on the bridges downtown. Accident reported westbound 44 just before the 44-55 split, and that is causing a delay. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Phil Holloway is the host of the Megyn Kelly True Crime Show, coming up on the Nancy Guthrie story. Coming up next.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up. From now on, if you sprang a leak, need a water heater, or have hard water,
Thanks for calling Jerry Kelly Heating, Air, Plumbing, and Electrical.
Jerry Kelly will fix the leak, install the thing, and make that hard water easy. From the company who's got your whole home covered.
JerryKelly.com. Hey, it's Mark Cox here with my friend and trusted realtor Gloria Liu of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria, we've worked together for 6 years now. You have 23 years of experience with your Guaranteed Sold program, but many don't know you also have a Guaranteed Multiple Cash Offer program for serious sellers.
That's right. Some sellers are looking for speed, certainty, and to avoid repairs in open houses. I just helped a family in December to sell their parents' estate. They chose me because I offered 4 cash offers at our first meeting, which gave them options picking the best cash offer. Whether it's multiple cash offers or my Guaranteed Sold program, my sellers are always in control to sell fast and for the most money. It's my guarantees and my buyers in waiting program that set me apart from other realtors.
Take it from me. Call Gloria Lou right now at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Gloria and seller must agree upon price and possession date.
License number GL250000615.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Two sounds that can wreck your sleep. A drip and a toilet that won't stop running.
Drip, drip, all night.
Good news. We're doing plumbing now. Same folks, same care, same we do it right.
Leaky faucet, running toilet.
Or a stubborn clog, call Grasser.
Electric and plumbing, the Grasser way.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeServices.com.
Do you owe back taxes or have unfiled tax returns? The IRS won't quit until they get your money. Here's great news, fresh from those in the know. Major changes have happened at the IRS. If you owe more than $10,000, you may be eligible for a 99% reduction of what you owe. Haven't filed a return for a while? Their happy clients are talking.
The IRS was going to levy my bank account, but Guardian was able to prevent that and fix all my IRS issues. Thanks again, Guardian Tax.
Need relief from crushing tax debt? The IRS now has special programs. Guardian Tax knows all about them. Personal or business, this is the fresh new brick you've been hoping for.
We aren't the company you call when you need a hug because you're scared of the IRS. Guardian Tax is the company that wins when you need it most.
Guardian Tax Service is really great to work with. They really help me out. I'd recommend them highly.
Call now for a free confidential consultation. 800-499-6623. 800-499-6623. 800-499-6623.
Annie Fry here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They are the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Lose the weight or stop smoking. Guaranteed only $59.99. Saturday, March 7th at the Residence Inn by Marriott St. Louis Westport in St. Louis. Weight loss hypnosis starts at 11 a.m. Registration at 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking starts at 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
Freedom has a frequency. 97.1 FM Talk.
97.1 FM Talk.
St. Louis Conservative.
Oh, busy Thursday afternoon. Don't forget, tomorrow we have a Reardon Roundtable. Should be a good one. Greg Keller, who always brings the fire, Republican consultant, former State Senator Jeff Smith on the D side. We'll tangle on a bunch of the issues tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And then in the 4 o'clock hour, of course, Sue's News, Paul Hall on entertainment. And Cusimano will take us into Super Bowl weekend. Brian Kilmeade tomorrow night as well. So the nation is kind of captivated by this very, very weird, tragic, sad Nancy Guthrie story. Phil Holloway is back with us. He's the host of the Megyn Kelly True Crime Show. Phil, this one is bizarre. I think you would admit. We talk about a lot of weird stories. This one's really weird, I think.
You know, thanks. I'm always glad to be with you. Look, it's certainly strange in the sense that we have a true mystery, right? And there's some things that don't seem to fit neatly in the way we might think, like this ransom note, for example. Normally, I would say if I'm gonna kidnap you, Mark, I'm gonna probably demand some money for you within a few hours,
right?
Of me taking you, right? Not on day 3 or 4, and tomorrow will be day 6. And we're still talking about ransoms, and we don't have any proof of life. The only thing we know is that she was taken against her will and apparently bleeding at around 2:30 or so in the morning from her home. We know that she had been visiting earlier, I guess the late evening prior, with her daughter and son-in-law nearby, and supposedly they were the last to see her alive. Interestingly enough, when you investigate a case, you go from the inside out, and you try to eliminate, if you can, people that are closest to the victims.
Mm-hmm.
And cops have spent a lot of time in the home of the daughter and son-in-law nearby collecting evidence and other things, and they even went in with a device called a Cellbrite kit, which is used to download digital forensics off of phones and other electronic devices. Things that you might think are erased aren't actually erased. So who knows where this is going to go, but it is a mystery right now.
Because, we've talked about plenty of these over the years, usually within a couple of days, and we've even said, I said this earlier in the show, we've said out loud, Phil, you can't get away with anything in this country. People think they can, but there's video cameras everywhere. And then you have something like this happens. So that makes it even more confusing.
You know, there's something that I have not heard the sheriff talk about, nor the FBI, but there's something, it's a tool known as a geofence, right? I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but this is where law enforcement, after a crime occurs, they can say, okay, everybody's device that was within 200 yards of this address between midnight and 3 a.m., they can ask a tech company, usually like Google, for location data for the devices that were inside, either moving inside or outside of that sort of invisible fence. And I don't know if that's been done, but it's one of the reasons why nobody can get away with anything anymore.
Right.
Unless you're like a Koberger and you turn your phone off and that kind of thing, and you kind of avoid the fence.
I think they did indicate that some of that was happening, though.
But that's got to take a while, doesn't it, Phil? It's Sue here with you.
Yeah, what's the process on that? Because
the tech companies can respond pretty quickly. They can get a warrant from a judge that basically, gives Google the legal cover, and they can turn this pretty quickly. Now, analyzing it may take a little time, but they've got all the resources now of the entire federal government apparently at their beck and call. And so I think they have a pretty damn good idea of who was inside any geofence that may have been set up. And this whole thing about video from the cloud, I think it's going to come. I think that they will get that information. Something is causing them to focus a lot of time at the other daughter and son-in-law's house. I'll just leave it there. I don't want to accuse anybody of anything, but I think that this ransom business is I think it might even be what we call a feint, where it's just designed to throw law enforcement off the trail. It's either that or it's just an outright hoax, somebody trying to, get some money out of this after noticing a tragedy on the news.
Because it doesn't make any sense. But then what did you make of the – honest to God, when I was watching some of this coverage last night, I got off the air, I thought, okay, something's going to break here. It looks like the Keystone cops in Tucson screwed this up, and they're going to make a break, and it's going to be on the property. Well, that didn't happen, and then what happened next was even more shocking, because that's when the siblings, Savannah and her sister and brother, released the video. It was a very strange, awkward, heartbreaking video where they're seemingly trying to appeal to whoever a kidnapper might be. But to your point, it makes no sense to ask for a ransom 3 days after you kidnap someone.
No, it doesn't. But guess what? Guess what? That video, they shot that video in the daughter's house, not Savannah, but her sister's house. And the FBI was there with them. The cops were there with them when they were doing that video. And you know what that does? That gets the cops in their door without a warrant. And they can look around, they can nose around, and they can see, what else might we want to look at here? It could be just a very clever way for the cops to get inside that home and look around some without raising anybody's alarms. I'm just throwing that out there. I could be completely wrong, but when I first saw that, that's the thought that entered my brain. I'm like, some crafty cop is now got themselves inside the door looking around, and they don't need a warrant because they were invited in.
Yeah, that's an interesting theory. Look, I just think this is such a weird case from start to finish. And then, as you mentioned, look, the president's involved, right? You got the resources of the federal government. Everyone is looking for her. You have one of the best-known news anchors, certainly in this country, involved. It seemed like I was watching a movie last night.
It is, and it's almost like you're in real time. But here's the, you said Keystone cops, and I want to go back to that. I'm sure that law enforcement is doing the very best they can, but I question two things. One are these press conferences that tell us all kinds of things, but at the same time tell us nothing. If you're not going to move the needle, what's the point of having a press conference? And also, don't tell the bad guys what you don't know. Okay, leave that to their imagination. You don't want to help the bad guys, in any of the efforts they may have to cover their tracks. And beyond that, the first thing that I noticed that they really did that was, I think, just really crazy, is they released this crime scene that still had blood all over the front steps. And, journalists are going out there, and you got all this biological evidence and trace evidence. And I'm like, why are they releasing this scene so early? And today they recognize that they did so probably a little bit too soon. But when you contaminate the crime scene, you don't know what kind of evidence is being destroyed once third parties start traipsing in and out of there.
Yep, I think you're right about that. Well, listen, we'll see what happens. I mean, I think everyone's brains are kind of running in several different directions. I mean, maybe in the end there's going to be a very simple explanation for this, but I can't, help but think it's going to be a strange ending when we find out the truth here.
Well, it may not be as strange as we think, and I think that probably my prediction here, and you know how our track record is, Mark, on predictions here. You and I,
That's true. That's right. Yeah.
I predict within 24 hours we'll have some answers.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because that was the Rittenhouse trial, right? Well, that's going to take a while. Then, boom,
Yeah,
he came in right away. It was one of those. No, it was the guy out in South Carolina. The the dude that had the weird family that they did the documentary about. I don't know. I forget all these things.
Well, and we predicted. You and I always try to predict things, and I always get it wrong. So as soon as I say 24 hours, we'll probably know as soon as I hang up the phone.
That's right. Phil Holloway, he hosts the Megyn Kelly True Crime Show, and he's got topics that are endless. Thank you, Phil. Take care. Have a great weekend.
All right,
we'll see you.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Murdaugh.
The Murdaugh one. Yeah. Thank you, Sue. That was going to drive me crazy.
Okay, westbound 6440, that's a slow go. And it starts right around Kings Highway out through McCausland. You get a break, and it slows again from Lindbergh through 270. Westbound 70, some slow going past the airport, but not much. Then it's slow again at Bryan Road and at Wentzville. Southbound 270, moderate volume. Headed down toward Ladue Road, 55, slow, just about south of Gasconade down through Bates. And we look good if you're headed into Illinois. Things look great on the bridges downtown. This report brought to you by Point with an E Pest Control. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Annie here, and I can proudly say no more spiders in my home. I use Point Pest Control 4 times a year, and I haven't seen any, not a single one, since they've been in my home. Mention Annie and get 10% on top of any other special. Point Pest Control, 636-798-0023.
97.1 FM Talk is proud to support Bourbon for Badges. Mark Cox here. It's hosted by the St. Louis Whiskey Society and the St. Louis Hero Network, February 27th at Tapawingo Golf Club. Get your tickets now at bourbonforbadges.com.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Mark Reardon, Sue Thomas. This is the Mark Reardon Show.
All right, we have Sue's News on a Thursday coming up here in the next hour. I got a couple of topics before that I will toss out. I brought some props today, Sue.
Oh, I'm
intrigued. You don't see them yet, but I have props. I do have props for the show. Tomorrow, there's no doubt we'll have props because it's a fun Friday show. We'll have a roundtable, which will include former State Senator Jeff Smith and Greg Keller. We're down to 3 panelists because our friend Ms. Duker left to go work for the Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. So we're trying it this way for a little while. But those two will definitely spar. There's no doubt about it. Very passionate on both sides of the aisle. Tomorrow we'll also have Paul Hall on some entertainment as we take you into the weekend. You know, it's funny because I know that this is weird to me because I can't even fathom or imagine a situation where I wouldn't or people that I would hang out with wouldn't flip on the Super Bowl for at least a couple of minutes. But there's a lot of people out there that, believe it or not, won't watch any Super Bowl, right?
Interesting,
So
yeah.
they'll watch, I think Becky's aunt would be in that category. She'll probably put on BritBox or something like that.
Well, that's all right.
But I bring it up because Paul will have some streaming recommendations for you as we take you into the weekend, whatever's new on, iTunes as well. So we'll cover that. We'll have Cusimano give us a preview of the Super Bowl. Brian Kilmeade tomorrow night. We usually visit with him on a Wednesday or Thursday, but he had time tomorrow, so we're going to get him in. The other thing we've been talking about a lot here, Sue, is our fish fries. Fish Fry Fridays start 2 weeks from tomorrow at the Holy Trinity Serbian Orthodox Church in the city. That's not too far from where we're at right now.
Beautiful church.
And it's a great fish fry. We had a lot of fun at that one. I can't remember if we did that one last year or the year before. So some of these are repeats, of course, because they're popular, like the Knights of Columbus in Cottleville. That's, I think, been on the list every year. We'll be out there on the 27th. March 6th, the VFW Post in Florissant. The 13th at St. Mary Magdalene in Brentwood. Queen of All Saints in Oakville on the 20th of March. And then finally, Ott's Tavern and Fish Stand in Millstadt, Illinois on March 27th. This is a great opportunity. Look, we start at 3. Usually they don't serve the fish until around 4:30, but the lines start to build. And if you want to be in the audience, the Roundtable, the Reardon Roundtable live studio audience, there's usually, 3 people out there watching us. Maybe a few more than that. But it is fun. You get to meet people.
It is fun.
And say hi. Okay, when we return after the news here at the top of the hour, we'll come back. Like I mentioned, I got a couple of props. After Sue's News, Jamie Reed is going to join us. She was the whistleblower from WashU's Pediatric Transgender Care Center. She is the director of the LGBT Courage Coalition. She's worked with Riley Gaines and some of these other folks like Jen Say that we've had on the air fighting for women's sports. And we have 2 major medical groups now that have called for limitations on trans surgeries for minors. And we'll talk about the $2 million jury award to a woman who underwent gender-altering surgery as a minor and is detransitioning, and that's fascinating. Jamie Reed's partner is also detransitioning. Curtis Houck will be here at 5 o'clock talking about some of the media stuff here and related to the Post-Dispatch and the coverage of some of our stories. And then, Sue, I'm going to do something rather unusual this afternoon.
What is that?
Because we don't do it very often. I'm going to take some phone calls in the 5 o'clock hour.
Oh, I love that.
And here's the topic. It's a pretty easy one, I think, but I'd be very curious. In fact, I'm not even so sure that Fred and you and I will agree on this topic, but there is a proposal, and State Senator Nick Shore is involved with this and some others, that the speed limit on some of the highways be raised to 75. Nick Shore says 80 miles an hour for some stretches. So at 5:30, I think I'm going to take some phone calls and take the temperature of the audience on that. I think there's merit to this, but we'll kind of explain the topic, and we'll get into that in the 5 o'clock hour. I thought, we don't do calls as much as I used to. I used to do a lot of calls when I was on the other station, but I figured this was a good one where I don't think everyone's going to agree with my position is, yes, I like it, but there's nuance to my position. I'll explain that. But I also, it's like anything else. You have concerns. You open up the spigot too much. I think what happens with the speed limit is if it's 70,
correct,
you're going 80, right?
If someone's going to do it, 80,
if it's
people
80,
are going to be going 90 miles an hour.
Right. So we will discuss all that as we get into the 5 o'clock hour and we take some phone calls here on 97.1 FM Talk. The other story, the media-related story today, which is very interesting, and it's kind of twofold, is David Hoffman, who has now taken control as of today of Lee Enterprises, which is the company that has the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. He also says that he might be interested in buying the Cardinals.
That's very interesting.
Very interesting. Now, the DeWitts, there have been rumors for years that maybe the DeWitts wanted to, sell. I've never seen any strong indication of that. But, you got a guy that's got a lot of local money. This guy's also involved with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he's thinking about buying the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, which I guess is about to just stop.
It already did, I thought.
I thought I read something that they'll stop in May, but that's okay. Like you're talking about a major American newspaper that's just going away, right?
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe they just made the decision, and that's when they're going to stop it, and he'll step in. Wow.
Well, the interesting thing about, and this is in the category of being an understatement, the interesting thing about this story today with the Post-Dispatch and David Hoffman is he made some comments today. And he talked about how the Post has lost its way with news and editorial content that is a little too left. And Jacob Kern at the Business Journal, who did this, co-wrote this story, basically said, look, significant changes are coming at the Post-Dispatch. I'll be very curious to see what those changes are. Here's an idea for you. And it shouldn't be me because I don't like to write and I can't write. Why wouldn't you have a strong local conservative voice. I mean, you have these two idiots over there, and Tony Messenger and Aisha Sultan, spitting out BS all the time. Find someone local that is a common sense person that can write a column that sane people might be interested in reading. There's a start for you, David Hoffman.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
There is a stall westbound 70 past Clayton Skinker. Watch for that one in the right lane. Of course, that is causing a delay back near Kings Highway. Traffic slows again, moderate volume at 270, and then Highway N out through 70. 70 westbound, some moderate volume Jennings Station Road, a little bit at Lindbergh and at Bryan Road. Southbound 270, most of the volume there is now Page down through Doherty Ferry. 44 westbound slowing at 270, and 55 is slow headed down toward Bates when the construction zone really gets interesting on 55. Now, if you're headed into Illinois, we look fine on the bridges downtown. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Sponsored by Kalshi. Trade on anything. The big game is here, and now you can trade on football legally nationwide on Kalshi. Right now, New England is trading at 32% to beat Seattle. A $100 trade pays out $289. Use code FAN to get $20 when you trade 100. Kalshi. Kalshi. Trade on anything.
Susan L. Ward is a family practice attorney here in the St. Louis area with an awesome staff and a ton of experience and a brand new office that is located in De Pere, 270 in Manchester, and they would love to see you. I've said this before, just being honest. It's a very, very difficult area of the law. I do not remember, and I'm an angry person by my very nature. Some of you might know this. I don't ever remember being more angry than when I was going through that 2 decades ago. Now, I had a very young, inexperienced lawyer, and that was part of my frustration. You're going to get the opposite with Susan and her team. A ton of experience, and they cover a bunch of different practice areas outside of just an actual divorce, things related to post-divorce issues, modifications, all of that. Circumstances change, and you might have to go back into court and have a judge rule on those changes. And Susan and her team can help you with all that. And she'll always tell you, if you have the question, when do I reach out? Right away. Right away. Don't waste time. They're going to prevent you from making mistakes if you get in touch sooner rather than later. So contact the firm at 314-783-9400 or stlfamilylaw.com. The focus on family law, the emphasis on you, Susan L. Ward.
Dreaming of college but worried about the cost? The Together Foundation is here to help. The Together Foundation is awarding 5 $1,500 scholarships to St. Louis area students who are ready to take the next step toward their future. Applying is simple, but time is limited, as applications will be accepted through March 31st. Learn more or apply at togethercu.org/scholarship. That's togethercu.org/scholarship. This community message has been brought to you by Together Credit Union.
We depend on our roofs to keep us dry and protected year-round. That's why the roofing company you choose is so important. Mark Cox here for my friends at Correll Roofing Company. You can trust my friend Curtis Correll. And here's one thing he'll tell you right now, and it's his experience. A lot of roofing companies will try to install roofs when the temperature is below freezing. And here's what you need to know. Curtis has been praised by a lot of people in the industry because he will not install a roof on those cold days. He said that shingle manufacturers will deny warranty claims if that roof is installed on a sub 40 degree day. Did you know that? That's why honesty is important. If your insurance company has denied coverage for your roof, call Curtis at Correll Roofing. He loves working with insurance companies. He would be happy to get a second assessment from them. Call him at 314-222-9529. Tell him Mark Cox sent you. You can go online anytime at CorrellRoofingCo.com.
All right, I have a couple of props that I brought in for the segment before Sue's News. We'll explain. Then a Thursday edition of Sue's News right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
5 of the search on Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Right now, we believe Nancy is still out there.
We want her home.
Pima County Sheriff Chris Nano says multiple agencies search for Nancy Guthrie, missing since Sunday from her Arizona home. The 84-year-old mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie possibly taken during early morning hours.
41 minutes, which seemed to be critical from when the doorbell camera was disconnected just around 1:47 to then Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker disconnecting from her iPhone and Apple Watch at about 2:28. So that clearly is when investigators believe that whomever took Nancy got into the house and took her away from it.
Fox's Jonathan Hunt in Tucson. The sheriff also confirming that blood found on the porch is a match to Nancy. The FBI now part of a joint investigation saying reported ransom notes are being taken seriously and there's a new $50,000 reward in the case. The FBI also has a warning to imposters trying to profit from the situation.
We will investigate and ensure you are held accountable for your actions.
Special agent in charge, Heath Yonke, says a man accused of making an imposter ransom demand through text messages to the Guthrie family was arrested earlier today. The U.S. and Russia agreed to restore a key line of communication.
The United States and Russia have agreed to re-establish high-level military-to-military dialogue. Those communications have been closed since late 2021, just before Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The U.S. military says the aim is to avoid miscalculation and escalation by either side.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. That agreement happening as the U.S., Russia, and Ukraine held trilateral talks in Abu Dhabi, expected to continue in the coming weeks. America is listening to Fox News.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel. Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
You're still grooving, still connecting, still loving, still turning up, still thriving. You still got it, but your immune system, it weakens as you age. That's where vaccines come in. They help train and strengthen your immune response to fight off respiratory illnesses like flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, or COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Book in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Quiet times continue. The good news, there's no extreme cold on the way, but we do have bouncy temperatures. Partly cloudy overnight tonight, 33. On Friday, sunny and nice. Fast warm-up. Afternoon, not bad. 49, 50 for the high. Friday night, partly cloudy, 25. Saturday, sunny. It's colder. Northwest flow sends another front through, 37. Sunday, sunny and nice, 54. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
All right, good afternoon. Second hour of the show. We got Sue's News coming up here in a little bit. Jamie Reed, the whistleblower from WashU and Children's Hospital, reacting to some pretty significant stories related to detransitioning and a court case or two, too. That's coming up a little bit later this hour. Curtis Houck from Newsbusters in an hour. There's a lot of media stuff. I went over some of this before the end of the hour, not only nationally with the Washington Post, but also locally with the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Fred, did you see the people? There were a bunch of Washington Post laid-off employees that were protesting outside of the building. I'm not sure if they think that that's going to work. Like, do you think that Jeff Bezos is going to say, oh, yeah, you're right, I'm going to change my mind, you're getting your job back? I'd be working on my resume if I were them instead of protesting outside of that. All right, so I have a couple of props here for this segment.
I'm intrigued by this.
Well, the first one is just this, and I might just do this throughout the rest of the show.
Oh, no.
Because I have bubble wrap. Why? It doesn't even sound that loud. Here we go. How's that?
What'd you get? Did you get a
know.
gift? And then
I did. I'll tell you what I got. This is awesome. I want you to remind the audience who Hank Lena is. Who is Hank Lena?
Hank Lena is fabulous. He is our friend who came and became a U.S. citizen from New Zealand last year.
I don't know why he felt the need to put bubble wrap around a hat, but he sent me this great hat, and I'm just going to keep doing this because I love the sound.
It sounds like the finale of a firework.
Yeah,
It
thank you
does
very much.
kind of.
So look at the hat that Hank sent, and it's got Just Hank's Serving the Deserving, his coffee truck, and it says United States, 1776 to 2026, 250th anniversary. There's an eagle. There's an American flag. It is a great celebration from Hank's
That is
coffee
awesome.
truck
Nice.
for our birthday in America. And his story, and we've gone over it many, many times, is amazing. He came here. He met his wife at the airport. It's kind of a crazy story. And then he realized that some of the things that were happening in his homeland of New Zealand were a little frightening in the era of COVID and aftermath. And he went on a mission to become a legal United States citizen. And that's what he became. So that's kind of a crazy, crazy story. We love it. It's very inspirational. But Hank was nice enough to send me that hat. It was funny because he, I think you might remember this, Sue. He had gotten in touch with me, and he asked for my address, right? Mm-hmm. And I gave him the address, and then he sent me a note that said, he goes, well, I got your package together, and I got it posted this morning. Then I get home, and I see the card I wrote for you to go into the package.
Oops.
Forgetting to put in the package is something only a real blank can do. Anyway, mate, happy 250. And I said, no, actually, that sounds like it's exactly something I would do.
Yes.
Like, it is. But he was nice enough to say, hi, Mark. While this card is from New Zealand, the gift comes from the USA. I can't thank you enough for your support, including Melanie and I on your show. I'm often reminded by customers who heard them, even the one Best Of recently. You're a good man, Hank, because we aired Hank over the holidays in one of the Best Of segments because he was so good.
And we need to get him in for one of our Fish Fry Fridays. Get him in person.
Absolutely, we should do that.
heck yeah.
Fred, we should talk about that a little bit because we'll have an opportunity. I did have one idea. I'll just speak out loud. We've done this a little bit, but there's nothing wrong with maybe inviting for the 5 o'clock hour one of our musician friends to come by during some of the fish fries as well. George Gray is in town right now from The Price is Right. I'm actually having lunch with him tomorrow. We're usually able to do a live Price is Wrong at one of the fish fries, so we'll do that. And then we usually get some of the local folks from wherever we are to come out and say hi. And we've had great guests over the years on the in the Fish Fry Fridays. So I don't know if I just got this for a particular reason. Here's one of my other props. So today I go to the mailbox and there's this huge catalog, right? For Uline, it says Uline Fall Winter 2025, 2026. Stretch it, strap it, ship it. But this thing is almost the size of like one of the old phone books that we
like
used
an
to
old
get.
J.C. Penney.
Wow.
Yeah.
It looks like an
So-
old Sears catalog.
My wife mails a lot of things. I'm assuming that not everyone gets this dropped in their mailbox because it
do
would
not.
cost so much. But I mean, it weighs like 3 pounds.
Wow.
And there's stuff in it like food storage boxes, deluxe T-shirt bags, poly bags, Indestructo mailers, pulp wine shippers, Pelican equipment case. I mean, they have the stuff in here is amazing. But I'm not sure who the customers are. Businesses are the customers, so I was a little confused as far as why I got.
Why do you have it?
I don't know. It was
I
in
may
my-
be
but
remembering this wrong, but I think I've heard some commercials for Uline lately, and they started like in somebody's basement.
Really?
And they've progressed to
Well, it
this.
says next day delivery from our Illinois warehouse, and it says manager shipping department to my house. So my guess is my wife is somehow on a list because of this, because she does a lot of shipping and stuff. But man, that's a hell of a catalog.
It was founded in 1980. It's a leading distributor of shipping, industrial, and packaging materials.
Yeah, because they even, I just looked at the back of this thing. They actually have it broken down. Bags, pages 112 to 195, 778 to 785,
Oh.
and page 835.
Headquarters,
Boxes.
Wisconsin.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where in Wisconsin? Oh, yeah, Pleasant Prairie.
Yeah.
Look at that. Yeah, so they have bubble, they have foam, they have janitorial, they have labels, they have mailers, they have material handling, they have office furniture, paper cushioning, peanuts, retail, safety gloves, strapping, stretch wrap, tape, and tubes. Wow. All kinds of options there.
Maybe she's doing some shipping from the house.
Well, she is, but
Yeah,
she usually goes to the FedEx or the UPS store or something like that. This kind of reminds me, you know what I haven't done in a while, and I need to do this? You know how I go to Lowe's and I make my way back into the back area where the restrooms are because I have a small bladder, and they always post the most, stolen items from that particular Lowe's that people walk out the door with. And I haven't had an opportunity to do that. I really haven't been at Lowe's lately, which means I really haven't done anything around the house. But I love looking at the items that are stolen because they're things that you would never think people. Well, first of all, I guess you'd have to have the guts to walk out of the store with
Good
them, right?
grief, yes.
And not be caught or assume that you're not going to be caught. But I think people know that. You're not going to have an employee. This is what's so effed up, and this happens from time to time. But literally, maybe I should try this, guys. You could roll out of Lowe's with something very expensive, but if the employees try to stop you or they go after you, they probably get fired because they're violating company policy because the company doesn't want them to get hurt, as weird as that sounds. So I guess that's why they put that little posted thing for employees, and they say, hey, keep your eyes out because people are walking out.
Have you noticed the jackets that the Walmart greeters wear now say asset protection?
Oh, no, that's really cool.
So that's their real job. Is
Good.
asset
Maybe they
protection.
can go get people.
What is
stealing stuff?
Meaning
they check your receipt when you leave if you don't have something in a bag.
Oh, yeah.
But, then there's the 75-year-old woman is not going to chase you down.
Right. I didn't know they were called asset protection.
Yeah, their jackets say asset protection.
Good for
Where
them.
do they say that?
On the back of their jacket.
But where?
At the Walmart.
At the Walmart. Okay, yeah, because that's what I thought. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So this kind of brings up a topic because I've seen some postings online, and I don't know if this is because I'm guessing particular Walmarts might be more susceptible to crime because I was told like the one that's off Lindbergh and Kirkwood, they don't have as many automatic checkout. Spots.
They actually have people.
I think they have more people, but I go to the Walmart in High Ridge. I'm very happy. Some people don't shop at Walmart. You elitists out there. I like my Walmart, right? Get all the stuff there, and it's actually a really nice one. It is, and we have a nice Schnucks as well. But I'm not walking out, not paying with stuff, but you walk by and you feel guilty. Like I always have my receipt in my hand in case the dude's going to say, hey, can we see that? And the only time I usually get checked, and this is understandable, is if I have something, like if I have 24 packs of Diet Coke like on the bottom of the cart.
Right. They want to look and make sure. Yeah.
Right.
I notice it if it's not bagged, they'll ask you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and see, I don't bag milk and stuff like that, but I think they're only looking for, they're looking for the bigger items, right? They're not going to go down that receipt and look at every little thing that you're buying, but they're trying to make sure.
Can you imagine how much stuff
gets
gets stolen?
A lot.
I mean, it must be a ton of money.
But see, that's the calculation that they're making, Sue, because they know that, right? And especially at High Ridge, because again, there are more. Maybe I didn't make this clear. There are a lot more automatic than
I get
people,
it.
right? But
It's cheaper
they're saying
than paying people.
you can walk out with $500,000 in merchandise a day, but we're going to have to pay someone. I'm just throwing random, out there, $600,000. So take the merchandise. I mean, they're not saying that. They're not encouraging people, but I think that that's the equation that they make.
Hideous, but I get it.
Yeah, and I like checking out on my own. I really do, because I feel like I'm capable of doing it and you don't have to wait in line. You go right up to the automatic thing.
If I have a lot, I don't want to do it. And then you got to put it in the bag. And then if the bags get too full and then they say, please put it in, I can't stand it. But if I've got a few items, I'll do that.
But here's the difference. This is what makes it easier at Walmart. I feel like I'm doing live reads for Walmart or something like that. At Schnucks, because Schnucks is not as generous with people walking out with stuff, right?
Good.
Well, right. But you have to put everything, like it's got to be on the scale next to it. You cannot
that's
put it in.
what I'm thinking about.
So
yeah.
At where I shop, at my High Ridge Walmart, you don't do that. You scan something, you put it right in your cart. There's no weighing or anything like that. Now, you still have to weigh your vegetables and stuff, but it won't make you put it on that little part where it shows that you have purchased that.
I got
right?
you. Yeah.
So it's easier to do your own checkout, but that also allows for more risk for people walking out with stuff. There you go. Sue's News is coming up next.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, watch for some volume westbound 6440. It starts around Kings Highway, goes out past McCausland. Eastbound, moderate volume at 270. And then westbound, some moderate volume out at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. 70 westbound, there is a little slowdown right around Jennings Station Road. We've got southbound 270 slowing at Ladue Road, and again, just moderate volume at Gravois. But 55 jams at Bates, headed into the construction zone. We look good, though, on the bridges if you're headed into Illinois. This report brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. Simply the finest when it comes to mirror glass and shower doors. You can't find better quality, prices, or service than at Barron Mirror Glass and Door. They have the basics all the way up to the elite. Barron Mirror Glass and Door can't be beat. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative. If you are thinking about retirement and you know that you've saved and saved and saved, but you don't have a specific written plan in place, then you're not really feeling good about the whole thing. You have got to understand how things work in retirement. And this is why I like financial and tax architects, because they will sit down with you, look at everything you've got, and come up with a plan for you based on what you have and will have in retirement so that you know you have a clear path and you should have an idea of where it will all go and that it will last as long as you do. Because what they do is teach you things. So you go first to a class called Retirement Planning 101. Sit down and learn things. Here's how taxes work in retirement. Here's what you need to think about when you think about Social Security. Class is free, but you have to register. Go to FTA-RIA.com, FTA-RIA.com. Register for class and start feeling better.
Meet Linda. She's stuck in a school pickup line, thinking about what to make for dinner, are the kids' practice jerseys clean, if she sent out that last email before leaving work. But you know what she's not thinking about? Her HVAC system. Linda is a preferred partner with Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation. Members get 2 HVAC system checks per year. We clean and inspect your HVAC systems at each visit. Partners also get priority service and exclusive discounts starting at just $19 per month. Life is chaos, but with Air Comfort Service, you'll have peace of mind with your HVAC system. Visit aircomfortservice.com today. After all, comfort is our middle name.
Hi, it's Mark Cox inviting you to join me September 30th as we discover the charm of Switzerland, Austria, and Germany with Colette Travel. Spend 4 nights in Bern and then 4 nights at the foot of the Alps in Innsbruck. From the cobblestone streets to the postcard-worthy mountain landscapes of the amazing Alps, we're going to explore the Swiss capital of Bern and lovely Lucerne, the Swiss paradise on the lake. We'll travel the Austrian countryside to Salzburg with a visit to Mozart's birthplace, and then Mirabelle Gardens featured in The Sound of Music. This and so much more. Colette handles all the details. The flights, the meals, the hotels, the local experiences. All you have to do is have the time of your life. Don't miss this trip. Meet me and the folks from Colette to learn more at the Lodge at De Pere, Tuesday, February 24th at 2 p.m. Call Colette at 800-581-8942 or go to 971talk.com/events for details.
Flame Bearers goes beyond scores to bring real stories from women Olympians and Paralympians who've beat the odds. Hear from legends like Sue Bird, Caster Semenya, and more about what it takes to be a champion. Tune into Flame Bearers wherever you get your podcasts.
This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
One of the other things that we will preview tomorrow in the 4 o'clock hour, the Olympics start. And I think a lot of us are very excited about that, the opening ceremonies and some of the stories we can track. I can't wait to watch a little curling. You know, sitting back in my basement, watching the intensity. Honestly, I mock that and I make fun of it, but I do. You kind of get caught up in stuff like that.
Do you get your broom ready and you just have it with you?
I do my little scrubbing. Fred, I've done this before. I have curled before. I'm an experienced curler. So we'll talk more about that as we go into the Olympic Games.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
I don't care about curling. There, I said it out loud. And to me, it's the water polo of the Winter Olympics. Because when I look at water polo, I know that it's hardcore and that it's very difficult, but I do not care.
I don't begrudge you your particular sport but I'm just being honest with you. I'll run across it and then I can't stop watching it.
Is it because you've done it?
No, I think it's just because it's so different and it's weird, and
it is
weird. They're doing all that
brushy,
stuff.
Brushy.
Yeah, the brushy. That's what I'll call it too.
Fred, do you watch curling?
No, I will watch it. You know what one I don't like to watch, and it's a summer game? Synchronized swim.
Oh, you're kidding me. I love that. It's so ridiculous. And they're perfectly made up faces. Maybe it's a chick thing.
It is a chick thing.
But they're holding their breath underwater, making these. It's amazing. And nobody has anything smeared when they come back up.
I still need to give you the rundown on mountaineering, ski mountaineering. I'll do that tomorrow because you were asking about that the other day. I do have details on what the hell that is.
Okay.
Synchronized swimming is a makeup miracle. Okay. Happy National Chocolate Fondue Day. Doesn't that sound good?
Yes.
Put a little fruit in the fondue. Do they still do that at wedding receptions? Remember when that was a thing? The chocolate fountain?
I don't know.
And you could have cake in there, too. They'd have little pieces of cake. Oh, that was genius. It's also National Weather Person's Day, so hooray to Dave Murray.
Yeah, but wait a second. Dave Murray is like a meteorologist, so does that even count? Because some people are weather people and they're not meteorologists.
Okay, well, I was that, so it's my day.
Exactly. See?
Okay, well, I'm a cheater. I mean,
when were you a weather person?
It was after COVID, and they did cutbacks at Channel 4, and since I knew how to do a green screen, doing traffic, they said, we're going to make you the weekend morning weather person.
Wait a second. This was after COVID?
No, I'm sorry. After 9/11.
Okay, I was going to say,
yeah.
I've known you.
Yes.
I don't remember that happening. Okay, after 9/11.
After 9/11, because they, was advertising going to go away? They didn't know. They had a kid who was driving in from Colombia.
So did you like it?
I really did. In fact, I wished that I would have known that in college and gone into meteorology to do it for real. You have your own area. It's great. And it's national.
And you never have to be right. I mean, that's another big advantage.
You just don't have to be
wrong
right
as much
anything.
as you want to be.
And it's National Shower with a Friend Day. I'm not kidding. Okay, I looked that up because why? Okay.
Excuse me?
It's
okay.
It's supposed to be a tongue-in-cheek way to lighten the mood of winter while educating us about the benefits of filtered chlorine-free water.
Right.
That's something you never
I'm
thought
going
of,
to text
Fred.
a bunch of my buddies. I'm going to text Scott Jennings now and say, hey, do you want to take a shower? What the hell is that?
I saw some Scott Jennings last night on CNN. He just looked so disgusted with the rest of the panel. He was just leaning back in his chair.
Oh, I
like,
have some audio.
I
have some
just
audio
can't
from
believe this.
Bakari Sellers. I don't know how he does it. I mean,
exactly.
the number one theme that I see when I go on to Twitter at night is people saying, I don't know how Scott Jennings does it night after night after night.
On this day in history, 77 years ago, in 1949, the IRS revealed that Humphrey Bogart was Hollywood's highest paid actor. How much was he making, Mark Reardon?
What year?
1949.
He was making $2.5 million.
$1 million.
$467,000.
That's it. Wow.
Betty Davis was the highest paid woman of any profession in America in general, and she only made $328,000.
Right, but back then, that's like 1.8
yeah,
million
it was
or
a
something
lot
like that,
at the
right.
time. 60 years ago today, we have music for this. In 1966, Sergeant Barry Sadler's The Ballad of the Green Berets entered Billboard magazine Hot 100.
Fighting soldiers from the sky, fearless men who jump and die.
So people were calling radio stations and requesting this one.
It made it to number 1 and stayed there for 5 weeks. How about that?
Green Beret.
It's patriotic song, right?
That's
you think
awesome.
kids today would understand that?
Are you kidding me?
Oh, my gosh.
These are men, America's.
No one's ever listened to that song. Is number 1 for 5 weeks. No one's ever listened to it again.
Wow.
So that's bizarre. What year?
1966.
That surprises me. Doesn't that
like in the
surprise you?
Beatles,
I mean,
the era of
there
the
was like
Beatles?
some music that was being created back then.
Yeah. 5 weeks at number 1. It's amazing.
Weird. Yeah. Well, I guess I don't know.
Well,
I'll
here's
explain
what
that.
else. Here's what else entered the Billboard. This also in 1966.
Well, this makes more sense.
The Marquettes.
That's who did this?
Yep.
Oh yeah, the Batman theme. But this has like a melody, and we love it.
Well,
is it just an instrumental?
Yeah.
Okay.
It charted for 9 weeks. Now, it peaked at number 17, so the Battle of the Green Beret beat it, but this is the TV show version, which does say Batman, but yeah.
That's all they say?
I don't know. I don't even know if they're saying it, but
Or
it
is it
sounds
just the
like it
horns
to me.
that sound like Batman?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I can't tell either.
I could actually see the word.
They're saying Batman.
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Fred, what were you saying? I
Well, this is a
Batman.
banger, though, Sue. Listen to this. I mean, that's a good song.
I can actually see the word smash.
Yeah.
Right.
Pow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's great. All right, so 1966, interesting year with musically. That's all I'm saying.
Michael Z. Gordon and the Marquettes. That's who did that. Did not know that. There's some trivia for you.
A football superfan from California broke 2 Guinness World Records this season for attending NFL games. Brian Fowler is now in the record books for attending games at all 30 NFL stadiums and attending a total of 56 games. You know how expensive that would be in a single season. And here he is. He's talking about his accomplishments and being celebrated at his home base is Las Vegas, so he's a Raiders fan, and they celebrated him at a game.
The fastest time to go to all 32 stadiums. The current record is 74 days. Good night for football.
He now holds the record for the fastest time to attend a game at every NFL stadium, completing the feat in just 72 days, as well as the record for the most NFL games attended in a regular season. He did this all while wearing the famed silver and black.
Wait, okay, now I'm a little confused here. You're telling me, what was the record, the actual record?
The fastest.
Okay, but then the
in
number of
72
games
days,
too?
and 56 in a single season.
How is that possible?
He's busy. Maybe he has a plane. I don't know.
But
I know.
You'd have to
it's
do
an 18-game season.
That's why
well,
it's
you'd have to do a
impressive.
Thursday night game,
Yeah,
2
right.
games
Friday,
on Sunday, maybe,
and 2 on
then
Sunday.
like
And
the
a Monday
game.
night. Yeah.
Wow.
That is devotion and possible insanity.
I mean, I guess you could do it if you do 3 games a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The Winter Olympics, of course, opening ceremony is tomorrow. Which events will you be tuning in for this season? They asked people online. Top 10. Number 10, short track speed skating. Number 9, luge. Number 8, speed skating. I do like that. 7, freestyle skiing. I do like that too. Number 6, figure skating. Fred, you like the figure skating?
Oh, yeah. I think
That's
might
what I
be my
thought was
favorite.
yours. Alpine skiing, I love it. What's it, Mark, or have we hit any
I
of
like
yours?
the alpine skiing and the ski jumping and stuff like that.
Okay.
I like luge and bobsled. Those are fun to watch too.
Ski jumping is number 4. That might be my favorite. Number 3 is bobsled. Number 2 is hockey. And number 1, I guess the kids like it, snowboarding. I didn't think about that.
Snowboarding has been pretty fun to watch.
I agree.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I didn't hear curling in the top 10. That's very disappointing.
That's a shock to us all.
It must have just missed, Mark.
What is it you like? The sweepy?
Yeah, the sweepy
that's
thing.
Very
you guys
understandable.
challenge that. You're going to all get caught up in this in the next 2 weeks. You'll find yourself in front of your television just staring away at the curlers.
I don't think so. A little boy, this is kind of a cute story of the day. A little boy in the UK is now a world record holder. His name is Jude Owens. He took a big interest in pool, and how do you say this? Is it snooker?
Snooker. Yeah.
Okay. At a young age, he is now the youngest person to make a snooker double pot. Now, I watched this to see what it was, and it's just what you think. You hit one, and then it hits another to put it in the pocket. That's when you make 2 balls in 2 different pockets with 1 shot. Guess how old he is?
11.
2.
What?
He is 2 years and 261 days old. I've never seen anything like it. Look up the video of the UK record holder for snooker making this shot. It's amazing.
I've never played snooker. Like when I was at Mizzou, I would always go to Booch's and Columbia Billiards and we'd play pool. I loved pool, but never played snooker. You know, it's with the red balls.
Yeah,
It's a different game.
I don't really understand
Yeah,
that.
me neither.
Same thing with bumper pool.
Oh,
Does anybody play bumper
No, I don't know
pool?
that
no,
one.
what does that mean? Is that like bumper bowling?
No.
And finally, in Sue's News, we have today's random fact. Maya Angelou was the first black woman in San Francisco to be employed as a streetcar conductor. What? Love that.
Yeah, that's random for sure. All right, Jamie Reed coming back on the other side of Fox Business.
I'm Dan Loney with Your Money Now. Roblox continues to attract consumers. Its fiscal 2026 forecast for bookings is over $8 billion, which beats Wall Street views. Its fourth quarter daily active users rose 69% year over year to 144 million. Noteworthy is that 2026 will be the last year that the company will issue a full year forecast. It will only do quarterly previews moving forward. A tough day for Wall Street. Dow Industrial averaged down 593 points. Finishing the session at 48,909. NASDAQ was off 364. The S&P 500 down by 84.
Pizza Hut plans to close 250 underperforming locations in the first half of 2026, and Yum Brands, the parent company, is considering a sale of the chain, which has 6,000 locations in the U.S. Part of the reason for the move is a 5% decline last year in same-store sales on locations open at least 1 year. That's Your Money Now.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. Zero Res wants to give your home the love and attention it deserves. Mark Cox here. Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com and mention the 97.1 special.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been diagnosed with mesothelioma, call us now. $30 billion was set aside for meso victims, and in most cases, your claim is settled out of court without a jury trial. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Triton Exteriors, St. Louis Roofing, Siding, and Gutter Systems. We'll take care of you and your home. We're #1 in the Ladue, Kirkwood, and Webster area. James Hardy certified. Visit Triton.stl.com to be connected with a James Hardy expert and receive a free estimate. Triton-stl.com or call 314-717-1159. That's 314-717-1159. Triton Exteriors, St. Louis #1 James Hardy specialists.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
There's no championship league for small business owners. But if there was, you'd be at the top of the standings. Because going pro with Lenovo Pro means you've got the winning formation, one-on-one advice, IT solutions, and customized hardware powered by Intel Core Ultra processors help you stay ahead of the competition. Business goes pro with Lenovo Pro. Sign up for free at Lenovo.com/pro.
Lenovo. It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
4:33. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
From Festus to Freeburg, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Friday means a Reardon Roundtable tomorrow at 3. Former State Senator Jeff Smith will be on the panel, and he will spar with Greg Keller, Republican consultant. That's a great pairing tomorrow afternoon. Of course, in the 4 o'clock hour, all the fun stuff, Sue's News, Paul Hall on entertainment, and Cusimano taking us in with the Super Bowl preview and also some college basketball stuff tomorrow. And I guess we got to kind of talk about spring training. Even though nobody's excited about baseball around here, it's about to happen. That's kind of weird. Hey, there was a couple of really, really significant things happened in the world of transgender affirming care, whatever you want to call it. One was a case where a big jury verdict came in for someone who was a minor when some of these things happened to her body. Jamie Reed is back with us this afternoon. She, of course, was the whistleblower from WashU's Pediatric Transgender Center and is the executive director of LGBT Courage Coalition. Jamie, welcome back. How are you this afternoon?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you for having me.
I want you to explain what happened here. This is, I always say this is a busy news cycle. You got crazy things. I haven't really talked about this yet, but this case that was decided about Fox Varian is really, really big and significant, isn't it?
It is. It came out of New York State, and this young woman had a mastectomy at the age of 16. after seeing a mental health provider. And this was a medical malpractice lawsuit in which she won a $2 million settlement for basically wrongful treatment that she did not need, and that it was considered outside of the standard of care.
Yeah, so the jury said it amounted to a departure from the standard of care, which to me sounds a lot like what you wrote a few years ago in the Free Press describing what was happening at WashU.
Absolutely. And if I to be totally honest, when I read this, it was a very emotional afternoon for me because this case represented what the vast majority of our cases, the kind of care, the caliber of care that was happening at Children's Hospital, yes.
Were you following this case all along or not? And I guess the question I really wanted to ask is, were you surprised by this?
I was not surprised by the verdict. We know of about 25 other detransition lawsuits. I do not know this patient specifically. I know personally a number of the other ones. What I found very interesting is that this was a jury decision. And to me, that means something that when you put this information in the hands of just your normal average citizen, they see what this is, that this should not have happened to this young woman.
So then this is, I don't think, coincidental, but you tell me, the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, which is the ASPS, they've issued a recommendation against gender transition surgeries for minors. That is the first major U.S. medical association to formally oppose such procedures for patients under 18. Now, that's very important, but is it coincidental, or are they seeing the writing on the wall here and lawyers saying you got to do this?
This was coming, so I don't know if the timing would have happened or flushed out exactly the same way. They had been discussing this and considering this for a while. You are so up to date on this. I do this this is my full-time job, and you know all of this so well. Yes, the timing was very interesting. What the biggest surprise was after they made that statement, the American Medical Association, the AMA, came out and basically said regarding surgery, we're going to follow that society's direction.
Yeah, and then that in and of itself is also, that's huge, isn't it?
Yes, this has been a huge week in news. Yeah, absolutely.
So what would you say then, because there's a lot of momentum, and you and I have talked many times about some of the positive things that are happening along these lines. What are you hoping? You said you saw this coming from the ASPS. What do you hope happens maybe next?
I don't know that we're going to see a lot of change out of the Endocrine Society or the American Academy of Pediatrics. I'm not sure. What I hope that people take away from this, families, previous patients, is right now is the time. If you have considered a medical malpractice lawsuit, if you have no idea when your statute of limitations up, now is the time to get an attorney. It's not in a year. It's not in 2 years. It's right now. It's time to go. Even if you're a parent whose kid was seen and you're not sure even what happened, the time to talk to an attorney is right now.
Well, have you had obviously you have a partner who is detransitioning, and I'm sure you've had conversations with other detransitioners. So there's quite a few people, I think, that are now going down this path and very upset about the care that they got when they were younger.
Yes, but it's also very challenging for them. So a huge part of this is that I know a lot of individuals feel personal responsibility. They are told if you come out as a detransitioner on social media or in any kind of public space, you're told this is your fault. You did this to yourself. They really second guess or have in the past second guessed considering a lawsuit. And then lawsuits are really personally trying.
Yeah.
This young woman was on the stand facing those doctors. That is really hard, and I really commend her and her mom for both being so brave to do that.
How old is she now, Fox? She was 16 years old when she had the double mastectomy.
22.
How old is she? 22. Yeah, that's very
22.
brave. That's a tough situation. But, I mean, she may have very well obviously opened the door with her testimony for a lot of folks who have had the same experience and gone through the same suffering.
Absolutely. Yes. It was a huge win.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, listen, I thanks Jamie always for jumping on here because I think these things are so important, and I appreciate you giving me credit for staying on top of things. I have to give credit to my producer Fred because he makes sure that I'm on top of things, so he gets probably the majority of credit. But we always like that you come on here and share this because obviously we've been kind of riding this train with you the whole time here for the last few years, and a lot of great stuff is happening. And I can't wait. I hope on Sunday I see a little Jen Say XXXY ads during the Super Bowl, at least surrounding the Super Bowl, because she's obviously a big voice out there as well.
She is. I was just with her 2 days ago. She's a fire.
She's amazing. I love Jen. All right, thanks, Jamie. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right,
Have a
take
good one.
care. We'll see you. It's a great coalition. It really is. You got Riley Gaines. Jamie's been a very big part of this. And I'll never forget, when that came out in the Free Press, and we were the focus. And when I say we were here in St. Louis. She was at WashU and Children's Hospital. That was such a big moment for those of us who had been for years talking about this issue. I mean, I think many of you have listened to me, even going back to the KMOX days. It was something that we talked about all the time in the craziness out there. And she alone, I mean, obviously there's teams and there's this coalition, but Jamie Reed, what she accomplished with that piece, getting the attention that it did, and obviously there was a lot more credibility that was given to Jamie because she was a lesbian, she was married to someone who was trans, what she was witnessing. The other thing that was interesting, I thought, too, and this is what's being vindicated right now, is for people who wanted to criticize, and there were a lot of them, by the way, including local media who wanted to criticize, challenge what she said in that original piece in the Free Press. She's been more than vindicated, not only by things that have happened in this country, but certainly that happened in the UK with the Tavistock Clinic shutting down and some of the other things that have happened around the planet. It is concerning, though, and this is where I kind of listened to her a few minutes ago. She said the American Academy of Pediatrics might not be on board. That's frightening, that you have pediatricians out there that think that this is somehow the way to go for young kids. When you're into the pediatrics group, you're talking about kids in these proponents of gender affirming care nonsense. They say, well, right away, like when you're 3 or 4, these kids can make decisions on their own as far as what gender they want to pick, right? So that's frightening, but that happens out there. And I think what Jamie did with her piece is she shined such a light on the nonsense that was happening here in St. Louis. That gave, I can't even remember Sue, who was Attorney General at the time. It might have been Schmidt, but that gave Schmidt and Andrew Bailey the opportunity to go into court and really make some changes, and that we're seeing right now, sort of the manifestation of all that work from the past few years. All right, we're going to take a break. I still have some, I have to remember which tickets I'm giving away because I screwed this up on Monday. Black Crows tickets.
That is correct.
Not Black Keys.
Crows.
Not Counting Crows. Black Crows. Next hour.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got an accident on the Illinois side. It's eastbound 5570 or northbound there. Past 157, that's causing a backup to 255. We've got a report of traffic signal issue westbound 6440 at McCausland. So just be careful. Westbound 70 out of downtown, some slow pockets, especially at Jennings Station Road and then out at Highway A. 6440 is heavier than that. It's approaching Kings Highway out through McCausland, slowing at 270. And then in pockets from Highway N through 70 itself. Southbound 270, still just some moderate volume, but it stretches south of Page down through Gravois. 55 slowing at Bates. There's some moderate volume headed for the Poplar Street Bridge, but things are okay on the bridge itself, if that makes sense. This report brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, Lakeside Renovation and Design has been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. Windows, siding, kitchens, baths, outdoor spaces. They give you quality craftsmanship and lifetime warranties. Go to lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I think a lot of guys, and maybe you're one of them, you get a little nervous. You hear about testosterone replacement therapy. What's it all about? What's it going to mean for me? How do I give myself the medicine? Can they give me the shot at the clinic? Well, all those things can be answered for you at Game Day Men's Health here in the St. Louis area with 2 awesome locations, including the one out in Chesterfield. That's where Matt Lawrence is. And I would incentivize you to go see Matt because he's very proud of the office, the staff. It's a very comfortable setting, man cave environment. And he's still offering you a free testosterone and PSA test. And after about 20 minutes, they'll get the results back, and then you can discuss what you're interested in. Maybe it's not even testosterone health. It is something they can help you with. It could be ED treatments, which they have, which are unique medical weight loss. They have their own pharmacy at game day right now. That keeps prices low. And the pricing structure that you have, look, there's a difference in these services. Game day keeps it very streamlined, very, very simple, top-notch quality service. You're going to love the experience. So book an appointment today. The location in Chesterfield is right there at 6440 Olive and Clarkson. Game Day Men's Health. The website, GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
Mark Cox here. I get to attend President Trump's State of the Union address, and I'm taking you with me. We'll have real-time reaction and the Mark Cox Morning Show live from the Fox News D.C. Bureau, February 24th and 25th, sponsored by Corel Roofing and Golden Oak Lending.
Hey, it's Annie, and I'm with my friend Stewie of Bagel Loan fame. Right now, Stewie, people are looking for access to cash, and there are a few ways that you can tap into your home, the equity, to try to get access to that cash. But I want you to tell folks why they need to think about the Bagel Loan.
Well, Annie, I have a great story. We had a customer that went ahead and was driving to a bank to get a home equity line of credit, and this is a bad financial vehicle. The reason it's bad, it's an adjustable rate mortgage. You have a certain term of time that you can take the money out, and then after that, bam, you get hit with a higher rate. These rates can go up and down like a yo-yo. You pay interest only. Before you know it, you started with a certain balance, and guess what? You got the same balance 5 years later. Be smart. Refinance the house. Take the cash out you need to consolidate the debt. Do your home improvements. Maybe go on vacation. Do what you got to do, but do it with a 30-year or 20-year fixed rate. You'll be way ahead of the game.
And with the Bagel Loan, you pay no dollars in closing costs. 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Google the Bagel Loan. NMLS number 226715.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's best eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Boy, this is amazing timing, and maybe I should have noticed this before the segment I did with Jamie, but Emily Yaffe at the Free Press has just done a great piece on the rise and fall of youth gender medicine, and they really chronicle it very, very well. And the Free Press, I give a lot of credit to Jamie, and they do in this piece as well. But I give credit to the Free Press and Barry Weiss because they were able to put an alternative version, which ends up being the truth, out there when the New York Times, the LA Times, the Washington Post, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, they're not willing to do that. They won't give voices to, anything that is counter to the activist agenda. But the way that Emily wrote this piece is interesting. She says, here's a snapshot of something commonplace just 5 years ago. During a lecture on endocrinology, one medical school professor begged the students to forgive him for his offensiveness. You know what he did? His wrongdoing? He said the phrase pregnant women. And he apologized for it. Another doctor received so many online complaints from students in real time while she was lecturing that when the class finished, she burst into tears. Her misdeed? Saying male and female. So what Emily says is these incidents and many more were reported in a path-breaking story. And this was in July of 2021 in the Free Press by Katie Herzog. So this is 2 years before Jamie. And it was the first story about gender mania that was sweeping the country and undermining institutions. This theme that I'm sharing with you right now is very important because this shows you what good journalism can do. A lot of bad journalism out there. This is good journalism. So they saw what existed out there. They saw the craziness out there. And they also realized that a lot of us did, that the ideology had come on so quickly and was enforced by activists so fiercely that using the wrong pronoun could and did put one's job in jeopardy. People were told that biological sex was a fiction. Many, depending on their profession, were forced to say they believe this. Remember the attesting that trans women are women, right? So she writes, the ideology held that people who were distressed about their biological sex could find an answer by declaring they were in the wrong body. Then all over the Western world, teenage girls with no history of such distress began declaring they no longer wish to be female. That's one thing that's crazy about this. It was all the girls, right? A lot of the girls. Young people were told that the burgeoning field of gender medicine could solve their troubles through hormones and surgery. Small children received instruction in their schoolrooms that this was the new way of thinking and were indoctrinated into the idea that they didn't have to be a boy or a girl. So when Herzog's story came out, I can't believe that was 5 years ago, and that's pretty much how long the Free Press has been around. Barry Weiss, who now is running CBS News, wrote an introduction. And in that introduction, she said, "We feel obligated to chronicle in detail and in primary accounts the takeover of our institutions by this ideology and the consequences of it." So they did story after story, and they kept at it, and they talked to whistleblowers, and they investigated, and they had people speak the truth, and they talked about the harm that was being done to these children because lawyers were willing to bring suits. So that's what's so important about all this, because the malpractice case that we just talked about, that was a huge, huge verdict. Fox Varian, the young girl we were talking about, sued both the psychologist who encouraged her to have a double mastectomy at the age of 16 and the surgeon who removed her breasts. And the jury in this case awarded Fox Varian $2 million. She was a 16-year-old kid that had mental health problems, including, by the way, a diagnosis of autism. And when she raises the issue of gender distress with her psychologist, he pushes this as the source of her troubles. Now, Ryan, this is an author who wrote in the Free Press earlier, Ben Ryan, about this case, quotes Fox Varian as telling the jury, remember what Jamie said, she testified before this jury, "It's so hard to face that you're disfigured for life. The physical toll," she testified, "includes scarring, lack of sensation in her nipples, nerve pain where her breasts once were. She will never be able to nurse an infant. No amount of reconstruction is ever going to bring back what I lost." So then you go to 4 days later. When I mentioned the American Society of Plastic Surgeons came out, and they said, nope, we're not doing this anymore on patients under 19 years old. They chronicle a story that they covered in August of 2024, which was Society of Plastic Surgeons breaks from consensus on gender-affirming care. So as Jamie indicated, that was telegraphed a little bit. There was a story in July of 2022. Lisa Sellen Davis wrote a story called The Beginning of the End of Gender-Affirming Care, and she talked about what was happening in Finland and Sweden because they effectively were way ahead of us on this, and they banned youth transition because of all the harms, the lack of benefits, the sterility issue, all these things. And then finally, in Emily's column here, she gets into what happened in February of 2023, and that was 3 years ago. I can't believe it's only been 3 years when they published the first-person account of Jamie Reed, who was the case manager at the Washington University Transgender Center at St. Louis Children's Hospital. The piece was titled, "I Thought I Was Saving Trans Kids. Now I'm Blowing the Whistle." It was huge. It made St. Louis ground zero for this gender-affirming care nonsense. Reed came to the clinic, as she's indicated many times on this show, Jamie's been a guest many, many times, as a true believer in gender transition, but she saw what was going on to the kids who were arriving at the clinic in droves. And the numbers in and of themselves were staggering, right? And let's not forget that in that piece, Jamie Reed described herself as a queer woman and politically to the left of Bernie Sanders. So she finally goes public. She documents very specifically how these effed up psychological evaluations led to swift medicalization. So when you have a kid that is literally talking about and maybe even physically having sex with dogs, which was chronicled in her piece, the answer to that question was, let's put him on some puberty blockers. That's what we need for this kid, right? She told of the teenager who needed emergency surgery to repair torn vagina after intercourse because testosterone had so thinned the tissue. She talked about another teenager who called her surgeon's office demanding her breasts put back on. So then when she starts questioning the clinicians, anyone who raises doubts is called a transphobe. That's why Jamie Reed is so brave, because she knew what she was up against, and she was concerned about these kids. She's been heroic in this. She reported her findings to the Missouri Attorney General, and, that at the time kicked off, again, I can't remember, I think it was Schmidt at the time, a bunch of lawsuits. There were more, so listen to this. There were more than 100 pediatric gender clinics in the U.S. Most of those have closed now because of bans in the red states. They're still open in the blue states. She said of her involvement with Republicans, or I guess even conservatives like me, going on shows like this, she said, "I'm a progressive, but the safety of children should not be a matter for our culture wars." And that's exactly right. That's why Billboard Chris Elston up in Canada, when I started to get to know him, and it was probably right around 2020, 2021, he goes on this mission first and foremost around Canada and around this country, spreading the gospel of how dangerous this stuff is. and then going across the planet, visiting Australia, New Zealand, a lot of places in Eastern and Western Europe, telling people, engaging people on the question of what people really supported when it came to children in particular. And that's why Chris called it, and I remember asking him this from the very beginning, what is motivating you to do this? And he said, well, it's the biggest child abuse scandal of our time. And it was. And it continues to be in some circles. But, man, the victories in the last 3 years, I never would have predicted. And a lot of that is because of Jamie Reed.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Watch out for a stall eastbound 44 at Big Bend. It's on the right side. And we've got one southbound 170 just south of 270 in the right lane. So be careful through there. There was also a stall reported southbound 141 at Old Lee May Ferry. That one appears to be off kind of on the side. So what really is causing a delay is the usual volume. Westbound 6440 approaching Kings Highway out through McCausland. And a slow pocket or two here and there on out through 70. It really lines up at Prospect. 55 slows south of Arsenal down through Revis Barracks. Still some moderate volume southbound 270 from Olive down through Doherty Ferry and a little bit at Gravois. 44 westbound slowing in front of the Arch Grounds. No delays on the Poplar Street Bridge if you're headed into Illinois. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Sponsored by Kalshi. Trade on anything. The big game is here, and now you can trade on football legally nationwide on Kalshi. Right now, New England is trading at 32% to beat Seattle. A $100 trade pays out $289. Use code FAN to get $20 when you trade 100. Kalshi. Kalshi. Trade on anything.
I got a call from my sister probably about 4 or 5 years ago. There was a home that my niece was living in here in the city of St. Louis, and there was a wall that was collapsing, and she said, do you have a tuck pointer? I said, absolutely. John and Cindy Morelli Tuck Pointing, they're the best here in St. Louis. They have a ton of experience. I know them well. They've been great sponsors of my show, and they're going to take great care of you. And that's what they do here for you in St. Louis. And you can, get examples of this first and foremost on their website, MorelliTuckPointing.com. A ton of 5-star reviews. John and Cindy, very proud of the company that they've had here in St. Louis for many decades. And it really is family-owned and operated. Deanna, their daughter, I remember when she started working there. That was like 14 years ago. And her husband works in the business as well. They've been doing this since 1991. Contact them today for a free estimate. Go to MorelliTuckPointing.com or call 314-645-1387. Morelli Tuck Pointing, the tuck pointing specialist.
According to MasterCard, nearly half of small businesses have been a victim of a cyber attack. As cybercrime escalates, ThrottleNet is calling on businesses to strengthen their security posture by taking a free online IT security audit right from your desk. This 3-minute online assessment provides an immediate score to see security gaps and vulnerabilities in your network. For 26 years, ThrottleNet has supported your business IT everything right here in St. Louis. In fact, no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So visit ThrottleNet.com/971 to take the free assessment today.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Fry, and Mark Reardon and learn how to create a worry-free retirement with the Retirement Advisory Group. It's coming up on Tuesday, February 17th at the DoubleTree Hotel in Chesterfield at 6:30 p.m. Here are Bob and Tammy Kershaw with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired and wondering how to turn your 401k and IRA into a worry-free retirement? Would you like to learn the strategies that give you market growth but protects you from market losses at the same time?
Would you like to get a free personalized retirement income plan? And did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to create a worry-free retirement. If you're 59 and a half or older, you cannot afford to miss this event.
Have a worry-free retirement and join the official financial advisors of my show, Bob and Tammy Kershaw, at the DoubleTree Hotel in Chesterfield, Tuesday, February 17th at 6:30 p.m. Go to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com. GammaTreeExperts.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IBW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
I got you something extra special for Valentine's Day.
Yeah?
How does a blow-and-go sound?
I like it.
Great. Air Comfort Service will be here on Monday.
Wait, what?
Our attic insulation is in bad shape. Air Comfort Service heating and cooling and insulation can top off our insulation with blow-and-go and make our home more energy efficient. We can save up to 30% on our energy bills.
I love it when you talk savings to me.
Schedule your blow-and-go attic installation from Air Comfort Service. Visit aircomfortservice.com/blow today.
Never miss a beat. Take 97.1 FM Talk with you. The voices you trust, Mark Cox, Annie Fry, Mark Reardon, Scott Jennings, and more are just a tap away with the Odyssey app. Stream 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative. KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
There. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. That's the message from investigators in Tucson, Arizona, as the search intensifies for Nancy Guthrie.
FBI Special Agent in charge of the Phoenix Division, Heath Yonke, announcing
a $50,000 reward for information leading to the recovery of Nancy Guthrie and or the arrest and conviction of anyone involved in her disappearance.
Noting officials are taking a ransom letter seriously, but have made an arrest from an imposter ransom demand. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos says blood on the porch matched the 84-year-old's, revealing at 1:47 a.m. Sunday her doorbell camera disconnected.
At 2:12 a.m., software detects a person on a camera, but there's no video available.
Shortly after, her pacemaker app disconnected from a phone, adding they spoke with an Uber driver, but there is no suspect or person of interest.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin, the White House offering assistance.
Any requests that are made by state and local officials in the search of Miss Guthrie will absolutely be accommodated. I spoke with the FBI directly about that today as well.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, who has said the president spoke with Savannah Guthrie and promised to do whatever he can to aid in the search. On a new nuclear weapons pact with Russia, Press Secretary Leavitt said President Trump wants a stronger agreement.
The president wants to have our nuclear experts work on a new, improved, and modernized treaty that can last long into the future, and that's what the United States will continue to discuss with the Russians.
Leavitt says she does not believe the U.S. and Russia have an agreement to abide by START as a new deal is negotiated, marking the first time in about 50 years Moscow and Washington don't have a nuclear arms cap. 3 people have died, at least 6 others hurt when a car slammed into a grocery store in the Westwood neighborhood of Los Angeles. America is listening to Fox News.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Quiet times continue. The good news, there's no extreme cold on the way, but we do have bouncy temperatures. Partly cloudy overnight tonight, 33. On Friday, sunny and nice. Fast warm-up. Afternoon, not bad. 49-50 for the high. Friday night, partly cloudy, 25. Saturday, sunny. It's colder. Northwest flow sends another front through, 37. Sunday, sunny and nice, 54. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
All right, welcome back. Hour number 3, and we're going to take you all the way to 6 o'clock before Jimmy Fallon's show. Before the hour is up, we have the opportunity. This is rare, Sue. We're going to do it. I'm going to give it a try. I don't do it very often anymore. Take phone calls.
I love it.
Look, there's a proposal for the speed limit. I'm going to get Nick Shore to come on and talk about this. I think he's one of the proponents, State Senator Shore, to raise the speed limit to 75 or 80 miles an hour. Now, I happen to be a fan of that plan, I believe, but there's always nuance, and then obviously safety issues, so we may take some calls on that here a little bit later this hour. Plus, I will have an audio cut of the day. Curtis Houck is back with us, managing editor of Newsbusters at the Media Research Center. There's a lot of focus on the media this week, Curtis, isn't there? How are you?
Yeah, absolutely. Some good, some bad, some hilarious, and everything in between. Otherwise, pretty much a normal week.
Before we get into some of the Washington Post stuff, and I'm going to share with you, and I did this a couple hours ago, if the listeners haven't heard, there's some really interesting news about our local paper that I think you might find interesting here in a second. Let me just ask you about your thoughts on the Savannah Guthrie, Nancy Guthrie story, because it's just crazy. And it's one of those things, I mentioned this a couple of times. I think we've all said either out loud or quietly, you can't get away with anything in this country anymore. There's cameras everywhere. Some of these documentaries or even dramas that you see on cable streaming of serial killers from the 70s and the 80s, they wouldn't be able to pull that off because there's just too much technology. But this is weird that we're almost at day 6 and we don't have any answers.
Right, in the fact that somehow when the doorbell camera was taken out, smashed, whatever happened to it, the camera didn't see it. The technology on the Ring went away somehow. So the person must have approached from an angle so as to not have caught the contours of whatever camera was going on. I mean, that's terrifying. The whole thing is terrifying, but that particular angle, although I'm not entirely surprised. I mean, I think that's something between where I live in Washington, where I grew up in Pennsylvania, where you guys are in St. Louis. That's not something we're necessarily used to. Like living in Arizona, like in the middle of the desert where the homes are really spread far apart. I mean, that's something that I think in both places I've grown up in, this audience here, that not a lot of us are really used to and can't really comprehend.
Yeah, because we got neighbors that are pretty much right next door. But that's what makes this one so weird. I mean, it's hard for me to believe that this is legitimately a case where someone is holding her for ransom, because why would you put a ransom note out days after you kidnap someone?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing just doesn't make sense.
No, none of it does.
It doesn't. And it's terrifying. And I just have to say, I mean, Savannah, we've done plenty of stories about her over the years at Newsbusters. She covered the Obama White House with Chuck Todd. They were the pom-pom waivers and everything like that. She infamously gave the Trump 2020 town hall right before the election on NBC. She was pretty bad. But, Savannah has a really compelling life story. And I noticed even during the Biden years, pre-dementia Biden debate, she really held their feet to the fire on a number of issues. And her book about God, I would say the Today Show is probably the most where you have people say that they're unabashedly Christian. Carson Daly has met the Pope a few times, and, Savannah wrote a book about God and how her mother inspired her, despite their circumstances, that, no, you are not going to let the passing of your father as a heart attack at 16. This is not the end of your life, that, God is not done with you. You are not going to lose faith in him. He still has a plan for you.
Yeah, just to repeat that, we mentioned that the other day. She lost her dad when she was just 16 years old. Look, I consider her an old friend, Curtis. We're not in touch, but we worked together 30 years ago in Columbia, Missouri, and used to hang out quite a bit. She was very nice. When my son graduated from high school about 8 years ago, I took him to New York City to see some Broadway shows, and Savannah was nice enough to give us a little tour and show us around. So that's the last time I saw her. So I like her personally and professionally.
Team,
yeah.
Carson, Craig Melvin, I mean, they're good people.
You know what's funny, though? The story I always tell about that is, I just cannot stand, and this is I'm sure people feel that way about me and all media people. I cannot stand Hoda, right? So Savannah introduces me to Hoda, and she could not have been nicer, right? I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah.
So very, very nice. But it's a weird story, and I don't think it's going to end well. I hope I'm wrong about that, certainly. Okay, before we talk about the Washington Post, listen to this. This is interesting. We got a pretty crappy little newspaper here that's been struggling, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. But you have a new chairman now of Lee Enterprises. David Hoffman's his name. He's from here in the St. Louis area. He's also talking about maybe buying the Cardinals. I think he has the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's talking about maybe buying the Post-Gazette as well. But he has now the majority share in Lee Enterprises as of today. So he's now the chairman of Lee, and he talked about our local paper. And he said things that many of us on this radio station have said for a long time. He said, people aren't in love, this is a direct quote, with the Post-Dispatch. We have some ideas to change that. Speaking about politics, this, by the way, is in the St. Louis Business Journal. Jacob Kern is one of the reporters. He said, the Post-Dispatch, Curtis, this is the quote, is a little too left in both its news operations and editorials, and that it needs to be in the middle. Journalism needs to be accurate and credible. Of course, we want fair and unbiased reporting. Look at that. Maybe we get some changes here in St. Louis as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of strikes me as the Barry Weiss approach, where it's like a lot of people exist in the center. And the problem with news, especially just looking at newspapers, for example, is not just an editorial board issue. It is a regular news issue as well, with the so-called, front page.
With the type of coverage and the omissions.
Exactly.
Yeah, I always talk about the bias by omission, because there's a lot of things that get in there, but you leave a few key facts out, and that changes the narrative as well.
Right. Well, speaking of bias by omission, I mean, the thing that I've noticed the most in this Washington Post coverage is the fact that they won't acknowledge that, in 2023, Matt Murray, Bezos, or somebody else there acknowledged that they lost $77 million that year.
Yeah.
And had been about there for a number of years running. And then in 2024, they lost $100 million. Now, this is where things start, muddying the waters a little bit. Brian Stelter, the Oliver Darcy team, the New York Times, the Atlantic, all these other people have really kind of honed in on the fact that, the reason that the Post is hemorrhaging money and thus is laying people off is because they decided to, right before the election, not come out and endorse Kamala Harris in the Democratic ticket.
That's
and then all these
way
people canceled.
oversimplification of it.
It's way oversimplification. And it obviously lost them a lot of money, but we're talking like late October 2024. So, and they lost $100 million that year. I don't see them losing $25 million in the last 2 months of the year. But even at that point, you probably were losing at least that much, close to that much, which they had the previous few years. So it just was not an appropriate. The business model just hasn't worked. They hired a guy from the Dispatch to change the editorial board. They've written some interesting things. They've published some great people in the columns and op-eds. But the news coverage hasn't changed at all, Mark. So like Bezos is kind of caught, and his people are kind of caught. They're not going the full Barry Weiss approach, but they're not stepping back from hard left news coverage, which is really kind of interesting. So it's not making anyone happy.
Right. So
and
then
that's the issue.
Yeah, that begs the question of where's the audience or where are the readers going to come from? I looked at the numbers. I was rather surprised that the New York Times had such a lead on the Washington Post, and that there's only 4 American newspapers that have, a subscriber base of over 1 million. It's USA Today, the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, and the New York Times. But the New York Times is way ahead of the Washington Post. I like the Post still. I mean, I'm still going to subscribe. We'll see where it takes us. I don't like it for, the necessarily the bias. But to your point, there have been a couple of opinion pieces recently that have certainly leaned significantly, at least to the middle, if not toward, the conservative side of the position on some of this stuff.
Yeah, but then the issue remains, though, you have finite money that people are willing to spend on news, if at all. And what is the Washington Post offering that is not any different from Axios, Politico, The Hill, Punchbowl? Because that's really what, if you listen to and read what Matt Murray has been saying, the executive editor of the Post, we're going to focus on national politics, D.C. politics, The Hill, courts, the White House, and then basically other national stories. So we're not going to do Ukraine. We're not going to do Middle East. We're not going to do Israel. We're not going to do China, Australia, basically shut down foreign coverage as we know it. They laid off a whole bunch of arts people, so they're not really getting as much food and movie reviews. And then they're killing the sports section. The Metro section already had been trimmed. So the people, the local aspect is definitely gone. Now, Dave Kindred, one of their sports columnists, wrote an amazing book called A Morning Miracle. That's always a miracle that the paper gets out every day. Talks about even in the late Graham era with the Graham family, they couldn't decide, are we a national paper or are we a local paper? And can we do both? And it certainly seemed by the end that they were leaning towards more being a national paper. and Bezos now has hit full send on that. Well, if you're going to be a national paper, you need to appeal to half the country, And so I think this entire thing has not been handled well, and it just made a lot of people mad by just completely killing sports. Yes, the New York Times did, but then they bought the Athletic.
Yeah, they bought the Athletic. That's
which
where
has New York writers.
That's where I have empathy for you guys. I've seen some of your tweets, and Josh Crosshauer is a friend as well. Look, if you're a fan of the Nationals or the Redskins, as I will still call them, or even local high school sports and things along those lines, you will not have that coverage. Now, it'd be different if you had someone like the Athletic, or you can have some sort of regional publication. Maybe that exists out there, and we have a few more independent type sports publications websites here. So maybe there's a way that you can kind of do supplemental coverage, but that's sad for people who follow local sports that they won't have that anymore.
Right. Specifically high school sports. I mean, we don't have local suburban papers. It's all weekly. There's a all metropolitan section that comes out for each sports season for high school. Like, I didn't grow up around here, but I learned very quickly that that is a huge deal for people.
Right. Yeah.
Some folks go into the NFL or, other pro sports, but others don't really go anywhere. But the athlete of the year in each sport gets the same sort of full-page billing that everybody else does. And that's like a memory that will last you a lifetime. I mean, we all still kind of have romanticized views about our high school experiences, good or bad. But for folks like that, that's, the kind of thing that you find when you're cleaning out your parents' house.
Yeah. Absolutely. I know. I still have, I have I got to find this, though. I have a picture this is a little different, but I covered the first big political campaign that I ever covered was 1986. It was a race between former Senator Kit Bond, who ended up winning the race, and a lieutenant governor that we had here named Harriet Woods. And at the debate at Wash U, I was able to cover that. And in the Post-Dispatch the following day, they had a picture of Kit Bond and Harriet Woods at the podium, and I was walking right behind them. So my mom and dad got that picture, and I have it framed somewhere from way back then. But that was the start of all my politics way back then in 1986. All right, Curtis Houck is here from Newsbusters. Before I let you go, just what would your Barry Weiss update be at CBS News right now?
It's still a mixed bag. I think some of their White House stories, they had a story today for America, A to Z, about equality. At least they didn't do equity. Nate Burleson in a desegregated bowling alley in South Carolina. That's the kind of, when we discuss the painful parts of our history, to talk about how we've overcome those things and we've now, grown as a country, those kind of positive things. So our Minnesota coverage, I have to say, has still been a mess. And that goes to show that while the anchors definitely set the tone and can really swing a newscast, the correspondents really drive the bus,
Yeah. Well, and
what they say matters.
And there's still going to be, there is, and I know some of these people, I've said this, I know the insidious nature of some of these progressives that work deep inside, CBS News, and they don't want anything related to change. They want to keep doing things the same way. Even these Washington Post reporters, did you see the gaggle of them all protesting outside of the building? What do they think is going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's I've said this so many times. This is the the Simpsons principal meme gif. It is the "Am I out of touch?" No, it is the children who are wrong. Yet again, it just goes to show that even in this moment, they are still refusing to look inward and saying, "Why are people not reading us?" When Matt Murray or Will Lewis said that to the newsroom, people were aghast a couple years ago when they came in, saying, "No one is reading you anymore." And they said, "How dare you say that about us?" Yes, it's tough, but it was the truth.
Right. Well, there's a lot of self-importance over there. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I think you might have highlighted this one too, but there was the reporter. There were a bunch of tweets, obviously, from reporters who were losing their job. And look, I've been fired. It's certainly not a fun thing to experience that. But then when you see someone who says, I have to find this one here. It was from yesterday. When you find the person that's covering the social justice 101 case, I can't find it, Curtis, but people were whining about losing their jobs who had jobs on beats that just don't even seem real. They're so weird, gender related or race related or all this other stuff.
A dozen people on climate change.
Yeah. So the country's kind of moved past that, right? Maybe we can afford to pare down just a little bit on some of that stuff. All right, listen, thanks for checking in with me. You have a great week.
Yeah, absolutely. You too, guys.
Take care.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got volume on westbound 6440 out of downtown. It's near Kings Highway out through McCausland. Moderate volume at Lindbergh and Highway N out through 70. 70 westbound, some moderate volume Jennings Station Road and past the airport. And it's pretty slow at Wentzville, but that's it. Southbound 170 slowing, ramping on to eastbound 40. Southbound 55 slowing around Bates. Southbound 270, not that bad. Some moderate volume at Ladue Road and again headed down toward Gravois, and that's it. On the Illinois side, we look great if you're headed into Illinois on any of the bridges downtown. But Route 3 on the Illinois side is really jammed at Queenie and at Monsanto Avenue. Slow-moving trains that go back and forth. That's what that is. This report is brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Midwest winters take a real toll on your garage door. So Overhead Door Company can come and help out. They can perform their 26-point tune-up on your garage door and opener. It's just one price for up to 3 garage doors and openers. Schedule online at overheaddoorstlewis.com. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
This is Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates. You know, the doctors, or just the best doctors to see for your best vision in St. Louis. 314-966-5000, the doctors. They've treated more than 250 doctors. That's more than any other practice. Dr. Greg Birdie, Dr. Ranjan Malhotra, Dr. Robert Bersati, Dr. Andy Royer. 314-966-5000 is their phone number. 314-966-5000. Dr. Birdie, Dr. Malhotra are cornea surgeons and experts in diagnosis and treatment of diseases of the eye, dry eye, allergy eye, cataracts, macular degeneration, glaucoma, LASIK surgery. The Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates, experts. Call for an appointment today, 314-966-5000, or visit them online, youridoc.com, 12990 Manchester Road, quarter mile west of 270. 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com.
This is attorney Todd Nissenholtz of Kaufman Townsley, and this is the sound of our attorneys walking into court. Because when an insurance company offers a lowball settlement, we go to trial, prepping endlessly, interviewing witnesses. We know the loss and the cost of an accident, and when it's needed, we go to war for you and take the fight to the insurance company. Because we've been in your shoes. Kaufman Townsley, real people, real results. Call 314-777-7777.
License number GL250000615.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Home power used to be simple. Now the car plugs in, the scooter plugs in, the space heater plugs in, and your electric panel starts popping.
That sounds bad, but I like popcorn.
Popcorn is great, sparks are not. Call Grasser. We'll upgrade your panel so you can run it all.
Electric and plumbing, the Grasser way.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeServices.com.
Surprise!
Surprise!
You know, surprise parties, they can be fun, right? Well, financial surprises, not so much. Especially when you're retired. Like finding out you owe more in taxes than you thought you would, or having to go back to work to make ends meet. Maybe you think you'll be okay. But why not double check just to be sure? Call Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions and schedule a retirement double check. Marvin and his team have been helping families plan for retirement for more than 15 years. Call 314-373-1598 to schedule your retirement double check with Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions. That's 314-373-1598. Don't let a financial surprise derail your retirement dreams. Give Marvin and the team a call, 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and in Illinois.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I got some tickets to give away right now for the Black Crowes and Whiskey Myers playing at the Amphitheater July 25th. Let's make it real simple here for Ethan this afternoon. Caller number 3 on the contest line, 314-241-9797. You're a winner. You'll go see the Black Crowes in July. Oh, yeah. Last saw the Black Crowes at a music festival called Roots and Blues, which unfortunately no longer exists, in Columbia, Missouri. And Chris Robinson, man, he still had it. They were really, really, really good. So that should be a fun summer show. If you have not started dialing yet, I guarantee you're not a winner. Ethan probably already has the call. All right, I have a segment. I'm actually going to take some phone calls on a topic here in a few minutes. We don't do that very often, so stay tuned for that. But I did want to squeeze a little audio in that I have not yet played today, and I have audio cut of the day, but some of this exists outside of that realm. First, let me introduce you to a Wyoming Republican Congresswoman. Her name is Harriet Hagman. And I love this rant here because you even heard this a couple of weeks ago during the Supreme Court arguments on women's sports, right? The term cisgender. I remember when I first heard that, I'm like, what are you talking about? It's a completely made-up term, and Harriet Hagman lays it down for everyone very simply here on the House floor.
Fact is that all you need to do to determine sex is a cheek swab. If you're an XX or an XY, you're either a boy or a girl. It's that simple. This isn't complicated. It's not like we haven't known what women and men were for not just a matter of years, but decades and centuries and thousands of years before that. The fact that we're having this conversation and this debate just absolutely epitomizes the left's ongoing effort to rewrite the English language in order to change the debate and destroy civil order. Cisgender is a made-up word. Cisgender that means nothing.
Yes.
Do not call me cisgender. I am a woman. This gentleman sitting next to me, he is a man. That's who he is. That is what our title is. That is what we have been described throughout history.
Thank you, Congresswoman Hagman. It is common sense.
This bill does nothing to prohibit men from competing in men's sports. I will repeat, this bill does nothing to prohibit men from competing in men's sports. It does prohibit men from competing in women's sports. It is that simple. All we have to do is look at what happened during the Paris Olympics, where we watched a dude beat the hell out of a woman in a boxing match, and we have people on the other side of the aisle who actually believe that that is okay. That man is not a woman. He has been tested repeatedly. That is a man.
Well, she's not wrong about that. Wasn't trans, but certainly a man. And this is during a House Judiciary markup session on legislation that would ban males from participating in Olympic and amateur athletic competitions that are designated for women. So that's the argument here.
He will not be allowed to compete against women in the future because he is a man. We do not want men beating up women. We do not want men in women's soccer or volleyball or basketball or rugby or swimming or any other athletic competition. This isn't difficult. All you need to do for any kind of determination for sex is a cheek swab. The fact that you guys are talking about doing these inspections of people and the fact that the Boxing Association used to do that, that's sick. That is sick.
Yeah, Congresswoman Hagman's from Wyoming. It is sick, and it's really not that complicated. And I love the way that this is all kind of falling down now. But what's scary is based on those arguments that were before the court a couple of weeks ago, and you have an actual Supreme Court member in Ketanji Brown Jackson who cannot define what a woman is. I mean, this is real. And if you're a Democrat or you're a centrist and you don't like Trump, you vote for Democrats, these are your people. These are the people that are going to drag you down for the rest of your lives because they believe in terms like cisgender. Here's another one. Now, I don't know where this was. Libs of TikTok blasted this one out on Twitter, but this is a meeting of a California school board. And listen to what the board member is offended by here.
I'm personally offended by what was presented on so many different levels. One thing I would like to see updated is the word homeless to unhoused.
She's upset that someone was referred to as homeless. And she's pissed off about it.
I'm not done.
Can I just don't want Mr. Berman to
for this to be on him. That's the way our state of California, that's the language that they use, and that's their That doesn't reporting. mean that's the language we have to use.
Yeah, it is.
I'm
Actually,
their
it does.
making a statement, and I'd like to have my time to finish.
Why? Let me ask on that one, because I've never gone down the unhoused rabbit hole. What makes that so much cleaner and less offensive than homeless?
I'm not really sure.
I mean, really, it's the same thing. I mean, if you want me to
It
say
is.
unhoused, homeless, it's exactly the same. So why is that a more sensitive,
That's a
word
good
to
question,
use?
Mark.
Well, it's ridiculous. This is what the language police folks are my least favorite people on the planet. I mean,
Yeah.
we've got people in this company, and I will never do it. I'm just going to tell you right now, that use their pronouns in their email signatures. It's embarrassing. Stop virtue signaling. You don't have to do it. And if you're forced to do it, you should find another job. We got a winner for the Black Crows. We got more tickets to give away tomorrow.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got a jam on westbound 6440, but it's the usual. So Kings Highway out through McCausland, a little bit of 270, and at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Eastbound slowing on either side of 170, which is slow ramping on southbound to eastbound 40. 70 westbound slow at Jennings Station Road, a little bit past the airport. We look fine if you're headed into Illinois. 55. That's pretty slow, mainly at Bayless. And there was an accident reported on, looks like it's actually on the Rock Road at McKelvey. And northbound or westbound McKelvey at Rock Road is really jammed in that area. And if you're traveling through North County, we actually look good. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Sponsored by Kalshi. Trade on anything. The big game is here, and now you can trade on football legally nationwide on Kalshi. Right now, New England is trading at 32% to beat Seattle. A $100 trade pays out $289. Use code FAN to get $20 when you trade 100. KALSHI. Kalshi. Trade on anything.
All right, I want you to check your calendar first and foremost and see if you can join us in a couple of Tuesdays out at the Doubletree in Chesterfield for our first retirement advisory group seminar of 2026. We do 5 of these a year. They end up going very quickly, which is interesting. I'm never quite sure how we get to October and they're all done, but this is going to be the first one, February 17th. It is in a little less than 2 weeks, 6:30 p.m. at the Doubletree in Chesterfield, right off 64 West and Chesterfield Parkway. It's a free event. We just need to know that you're going to be there to reserve a spot, and you can easily do that on the website, which is retirementkey.com. They're going to teach you some different strategies that night. And if you're worried about retirement, and it doesn't matter where you are, you could be years, decades away, you could be a few years away, you could be knocking on the door, you could be in retirement. Maybe you're looking for something that's going to give you a different philosophy than the big brokerage houses. When Mark Cox starts off the presentation, we all kind of introduce Thomas. He used to work in the financial services industry. He's got a really, really good perspective on the differences between some of the big brokerage groups and how Thomas does his work with his nephew Bob Kershaw and Bob's wife Tammy. It's a family-run operation. So February 17th, the Doubletree by Hilton in Chesterfield. Go online, register today, or call 314-993-9494, retirementkey.com for the official financial planners of this show, Thomas Helbig and the Retirement Advisory Group.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Mark Cox here. This is my invitation to you to join me September 30th as we discover the charm of Switzerland, Austria, and Germany with Colette Travel. Spend 4 nights in Bern and 4 nights at the foot of the Alps in Innsbruck. There are cobblestone streets and postcard-worthy mountain landscapes of the amazing Alps everywhere. We'll explore the Swiss capital of Bern and Lucerne, the Swiss paradise on the lake. Plus, we'll travel the Austrian countryside to Salzburg with a visit to Mozart's birthplace and beautiful Mirabelle Gardens featured in The Sound of Music. Colette handles all the details, from flights to meals, hotels, and local experiences. Your only job is to have the time of your life. Don't miss joining me. Call Colette at 800-581-8942 or visit 971talk.com to learn more. The number again, 800-581-8942. Call today.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
And this portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
From the gateway city to the front lines of freedom. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
Audio cut of the day coming up here before the end of the hour. Don't forget, we have a Reardon Roundtable tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Former State Senator Jeff Smith will be on the panel, along with conservative fire-breathing dragon Greg Keller, who's going to bring the heat tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to take some phone calls on this radio show tonight.
I like
don't do that very often, but this is a topic I'm actually interested in hearing where the audience is, and I'm not sure we'll even have agreement in the studio. But this has to do with raising the top speed limit to 75 miles per hour. There is a plan to Jamie Berger is a Benton Republican. I'm not even sure where Benton is. Where's Benton? Sounds like it's somewhere
Arkansas?
south. Well, I know, but this guy's from Missouri. There is a Benton, Arkansas. But this is a Missouri representative. He's a senator, actually. And it would raise the speed limit on rural interstates and freeways from 70 to 75 miles per hour.
Rural, huh?
Well, that's the part that I'm going to get into this a little bit. We'll find out. What that means is, I think, is that when you're driving, let's just take I-70, for example, all right? And when you're driving, maybe past Wentzville or Warrenton, you get into a stretch that's pretty rural, right?
Yeah.
Between there and Columbia. So should the speed limit, which is now 70, be 75? Or Nick Schroer says he's even willing to go to 80.
Wow. If you have driven between here and Tulsa on 44, there is a section that's 75. And it's on the Oklahoma side.
Right.
And I find that when I'm driving in that, because I go to that biking thing every year, I am thinking, because normally you go a little bit over, but over 75 seems like a lot. But then after a while, it seems normal. It's an odd thing.
Yeah, so I'm going to open up the phone lines here and see where people are. 314-241-9797. I think it's a good idea because for the most part, if you're on I-70, people are going, certainly more than 70 miles per hour. I keep it right around 80, 82. Now, I'm not going to push it to 90 miles an hour if the speed limit is 75, but I guess that would be what the fear is that people would push it even further. I also think that this, doing something like this on I-70 now compared to doing something like this when we get I-70, which is expanded, also makes a little bit more sense. But the concern there would be that if you set a speed limit higher, people are going to drive faster, right?
Well, and also there are statistics that say when you bump up the speed limit, there are more fatalities.
Right. Well, so this is weird, though. In the story from, let's see what this is from. I think it's just an AP story or from Jeff City. They say that the state can anticipate an additional 3 to 5 deaths on rural freeways every year if the change goes ahead. That's kind of a weird number, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is the anticipated cost for a change that would save drivers about 5 minutes on a 100-mile trip. It says in the story, lawmakers face a trade-off when making traffic policy. The desire to get places quickly often comes at the expense of safety. So they had people testify from SLU where they talk about the force of a crash, etc. I mean, I like freedom, okay? I want people to be safe, but I also think that it's worth talking about. I guess Kansas took it to 75 in 2011. They saw a 22% increase in fatalities. In Arkansas, a similar change, they say it increased to 43%. But think about that. I mean, if they're saying, I'm not saying that we want people to die, don't get me wrong, but if it's an additional 3 to 5 deaths on rural freeways, that might be 30% compared. I don't know what the numbers are right now. if you know what I mean.
I do.
All right. If you have thoughts on this, 314-241-9797. That's if I even remember how to press the handset here to take calls because it's been so long since I've done it, which we use high technology to communicate here. This is where Ethan tells me who's on the call. And then we do this. All right. I think I got Rob. You get us started here on 97.1 FM Talk. How you doing?
Hey, just fine, man. You guys know me as Fireman Rob. I just retired this year from Lincoln County. One thing I do know is it's fine they want to do a higher speed limit. The problem is commercial vehicles.
Yeah.
So if you get a commercial vehicle going 80 miles an hour down 70,
that's a bad
he's
idea.
Going to take him at least, right, he's going to take at least 3 football fields to stop. So if he goes in there and something happens and he won't be able to stop, and also the lighter commercial vehicles, the ones that are pulling trailers, or my favorite one, the campers and RVs, they let them have licenses, but they don't train anybody on them. They weigh as much as like a small semi. They're going that fast. They're not experienced. And they don't know how to drive safely. Well, they think they do because they're in a car.
Right.
But it winds up turning into a bigger problem when they come up against traffic at a stop, which happens all the time on 70 down just before you get to Columbia, and that's where they have a lot of accidents. Then you're going to raise that up, and the barricade wires will catch a lot of the cars, but they won't kind of catch the commercial vehicles or someone pulling a giant trailer behind them, because it will tend to be able to go over the cables.
Ooh, that's
on
a good
the
point.
outside.
Right, but why couldn't you have, because some states, I think even California does this, some states have different speed limits for trucks than they do for cars.
No, absolutely. But that is also just, it comes into, they want to raise it up, but I haven't heard not one person mention about a minimum speed limit for commercial vehicles about it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like in Lincoln County, we got rid of all of our crossovers, but St. Charles County hasn't done that yet. And a lot of the fatality accidents happen right there at the Lincoln County border, where people cross over the intersect, or when they come out, the commercial vehicles come across the highway. There's no way to go accelerate, and the cars drive right up underneath the semi, where the car gets hit. And Lincoln County get rid of all of their crossovers from you to the border.
Yeah. Well, no, that's a good
Charles
point.
County.
And
That's a really
in
good
the
point.
story that I have, Rob, it doesn't say anything. That doesn't mean that they didn't discuss a different speed limits for trucks. In the one that I have, it doesn't seem like they did, but that's certainly something that should be, discussed. And this is at the beginning, the initial. My guess is this is not something that's going to pass this session. They always introduce these bills. They have hearings. But, I thought it was interesting. Mitch, you're on 97.1 FM Talk.
Hey, Mark. I think there already is speed limit differentials for the over the road trucks. I think there is in certain areas, but I think even if you do bump it up to 75, I mean, I've been to Columbia going up to, up to that way, and they drive crazy anyway. I mean, they're doing 80 in St. Louis, and it's supposed to be 65. So I don't know. I don't think the speed limit means a whole lot, except what the troopers can control or maybe penalize.
Well, no, I know what you mean there. And so I guess, like in a perfect world, here's what I'd like. And you can't, maybe this is how we do it right now, because I drive a little faster, right? So if that speed limit is 70, I'm probably going 82 or 83. And if it was 75, would I be going 90? Maybe I'd be pushing 90. So what I would like is, I think this is what you're indicating, is maybe keep it the same. They don't seem to enforce going 80. They're not pulling you over for going 82 and a 70. At least that's not my experience.
5 miles over the speed limit, they're really not pushing unless you're in a small town that wants to create revenue.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about 5. I'm talking about, like, if it's a 70, I'm just telling you, I'm going 82 sometimes, 83, right? So that's more than 5. But haven't gotten pulled over for that. I've just gotten pulled over in Fenton.
I was going to say,
Hawkins
but you're
Road.
the one who just said, shouldn't I have a grace thing of, I get it under 10, but over 10 seems like a bit much, even if it's a little by 2.
Yeah, my point, look, that the one, and you were talking about my situation, that I got a ticket a couple of weeks ago, that's a little nuanced because, and I understand it because there's schools over there. This is like right where Rockwood Summit is. But it's sort of the same principle, Sue. So the speed limit is 35, right? No, 30.
Okay.
Well, it changes. That's why I'm confused. But I think if they would, it's a 4-lane road where it goes down into a 2-lane road as you get closer to Jeffco. The speed limit is actually higher on the 2-lane road than it is on the 4-lane road.
Which, yeah.
Why is that, though?
Well, I don't know the area, so I don't know what it's past. Is it 4 lanes by? I guess there's more that could happen on 4 lanes rather than 2. I don't know.
Right. Look, it's complicated, and I know that tends to be what happens in situations like this. Let's see. I think I have time for one more call. Jeff, you're on 97.1 FM Talk. Go ahead.
What's going on, Mark? Hey, I'm a truck driver, and a majority of trucks are regulated at a certain speed. So, like my truck, I couldn't even go. The max is 70. I think it would help us out so people could get out of our way and move on down the road. And there is no different speed limits for trucks in Missouri or Illinois. Now, it does change on highways. In St. Louis, like in the city, it goes down to 60.
Right.
And then it bumps back up to 65. That kind of confuses people as well. Maybe make it more uniform and then put a speed limit to where the truck, like in Indiana, trucks can do 65, cars can do 70. I know that for a fact. But I'm for it. I think they could get out of our way as truck drivers.
That's interesting. That's an interesting perspective. Explain that a little bit more. Why do you say that?
Get out of our way?
Yeah.
Well, because we're regulated at a certain speed. So a lot of cars, get on the highway and do 65 miles an hour or whatever, or 60 miles an hour. We don't have the extra speed to go around that car. So maybe if we bump it up a little bit, they could,
zip past
potentially
you.
go a little.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I get that.
I never would have thought of that.
Yeah,
that,
I wouldn't have either.
That makes sense for sure. Hey, thanks for checking in. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah. See, that's why we take phone calls every once in a while.
Very
Different
interesting.
perspectives. Audio cut of the day is coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, on the roads right now, 70 westbound, a little moderate volume at Jennings Station Road. Then it's fine. 6440 is heavy and slow. Kings Highway out past McCausland. Southbound 170, a little slow at 64. And then out west, moderate volume out of Prospect. 55, some moderate volume in the construction zone around Bates. And we look great now if you're headed into Illinois on the bridges downtown, and quiet on the Illinois side in general. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, it's that time of year again. Fish Fry Fridays are back. It's Mark Reardon, and we're heading to Fish Fest at Holy Trinity Serbian Orthodox Church on Friday, February 20th to kick off the 2026 season. Make sure you come hungry. Homestyle favorites, Serbian beers, and a live broadcast. Sue, Fred, and I will all be there for happy hour and a Reardon Roundtable starting at 3. The food comes out at 4:30. Check out the full menu and learn more at 971talk.com/events. Fish Fry Friday, February 20th. Hope to see you there.
Ready for instant curb appeal that comes with a 25-year transferable warranty? Call Rhino Shield today. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, aluminum, steel, cedar, and more. Over the past 20 years, we've done thousands of homes, businesses, churches, schools, condos, parking garages, large metal buildings, and strip malls, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks. We do flat and sloped metal roofs to extend their lives too. Proud to be veteran-owned and manufactured in the good old USA. So we're tariff-free. We're exceeding expectations every day. Evaluations are free. A+ rated with the BBB and a lot of 5-star Google reviews. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
The ACA Marketplace has announced significant increases on their monthly premiums for 2026, with deductibles over $10,000. You can enroll with Greg Hammond's Freedom of Choice plans now. You don't have to wait. One of their plans lets you use any doctor, has 0 outpatient deductibles, and it's 30 to 60% lower costs than most Obamacare plans. Other options are full coverage PPOs with national networks, copays, and 100% annual preventative care. Also, there's no income disclosure required, so no potential tax penalties. If you pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive, Call Greg and they'll provide all available options. Call 314-794-7784. That's 314-794-7784. Or go to greghammonds.com. That's greghammonds.com. He can custom design a plan managed and chosen by you, not the government.
Are you tired of feeling sick and tired? I'm Dr. Nick Barnes of Health from Within Family Chiropractic. Our simple 5-step approach aligns your health naturally. We correct spinal abnormalities to maximize nerve supply, focus on pure and simple nutrition, exercise and oxygen, mindset, and minimizing toxins in your body. Transform your health today with Health from Within, conveniently located on Manchester in Rock Hill or online at healthfromwithinstl.com.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I just remember tonight is the night that I get to go home with the family and watch one of the worst reality shows that's out there, but I still watch it, called The Traitors, Sue, with Alan Cumming. It's a Thursday night is when they come out, and we tend to watch. Lex can't watch anymore, though, because I think I told you this. The first 3 seasons, I think they're on season 5 now, they didn't use the F-bomb or anything like that.
Oh,
and
now
then
they're dropping
last year
it?
and this year, so they kind of
Why are you still watching it if she can't watch?
Well, it's just mind-numbing entertainment that you don't have to think about, and we laugh at it.
Okay.
So I admit that it's a terrible show. It just won, by the way, it just won the Golden Globe or the Emmy. Which
Did
is
it?
For the best reality show, which is kind of laughable because I'm telling you, I watch a fair amount of reality shows, not the dumb ones, but this is one of the dumb ones. I still like Survivor. They're coming out here in a couple of weeks.
Apparently people secretly watch that. You are not alone.
Well, again, that's always kind of been that's a family thing. We're watching American Idol right now as a family, kind of zipping through that.
That's good.
The Traitors tonight. It is kind of entertaining just to see the amount of stupid people and the stupid things that they say. So I kind of like to just make fun of it while I watch it, realizing that I'm doing bad things to my brain as well. All right, so Sue brought something up here before I play a piece of audio, and I do have something for audio cut of the day. But Chuck Schumer is saying something about voter ID laws. I can't, honestly. I started doing talk radio in 1992. Okay, I did music radio until that point. And I've talked about voter ID in every incarnation at every radio station I've worked at, and it's beyond me why this is even still an issue. And it shouldn't be. Like Nicki Minaj earlier this week. It's common sense. You cannot function in society without an ID.
Yeah.
Now, you reminded me that maybe some people don't know when we refer to Jim Crow laws. Jim Crow laws were passed in the aftermath of, slavery as segregation laws. Separate on the bus, separate drinking fountains, all these things, all these terrible things, poll taxes, disenfranchising voters, right? Well, I've always said the only people in my audience that are disenfranchised are the people in Illinois that don't live in Cook County because your vote doesn't matter at all.
Oh, boy, that's the
but
truth.
Everyone has an ID, but Chuck Schumer is still out there saying stupid stuff. I mean, this is one of those situations where the media really should be aggressive and say, Chuck, it's dumb to compare having someone show an ID, which you need to function in society, to Jim Crow laws.
There's a new Pew Research poll that 95% of Republicans, but also 71% of Democrats like this idea. So why do you not?
71% of Democrats. That's because it's a common sense issue. It's literally a 90-10, if not a 95-5 issue.
It's Jim Crow 2.0. And I called it Jim Crow 2.0, and the right wing went nuts all over the internet. That's because they know it's true. What they're trying to do here is the same thing that was done in the South for decades to prevent people of color from voting. For instance,
no, it's not.
if you change, you're a woman who got married and changed your last name, you won't be able to show ID and you'll be discriminated against.
That is a lie. True. Of course, that is a blatant lie, okay?
If you can't find a birth certificate or a proper ID, you'll be discriminated against. This is vicious and nasty.
By the way, no one is ever under these laws kept from voting. Okay,
No.
You will vote, and then you can still prove that you are a citizen. They will take your vote, but they may not count it if you can't prove that you're a citizen or have an ID.
Said to our Republican colleagues, it will not pass the Senate. You will not get a single Democratic vote in the Senate. We're not reviving Jim Crow all over the country. And when the American people hear what exactly it is doing and what its intent is doing, they're going to be against it as well.
Yeah, let me explain it to you. It's really complicated. This might take 10 seconds. It's going to require you to show a picture ID when you vote. That's it. That's all it's going to do. You need that anyway. If you don't have a picture ID, then you're unhoused, right?
Yeah.
So you probably still need that if you're unhoused.
You need it for basic things.
It's ridiculous that 70+% of his party know that it's a common sense issue, and he says every Democrat's going to vote against it. Go for it.
Stand by. Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
Well, another day goes by in another news conference earlier today after just a really heartbreaking video that came out from Savannah Guthrie and her siblings about their mother last night. But the sheriff and the FBI in Tucson, they're still looking for whoever is responsible.
To anyone that may be involved, do the right thing. This is an 84-year-old grandma. This is an 84-year-old grandma that needs vital medication for her well-being. You still have the time to do the right thing before this becomes a worse, much worse scenario for you. Please return Nancy home.
So we got to be real careful here. I'm not blaming anyone, but there was a report at KTLA in Los Angeles yesterday morning that indicated, and they must have felt pretty good about reporting this and blasting it out, that the son-in-law, that's Savannah's sister's husband, was one of the suspects. And that was one of the questions that came up today at the news conference with the sheriff.
We're actively looking at everybody we come across in this case. Everybody. We would be irresponsible if we didn't talk to everybody. The Uber driver, the gardener, the pool person, whoever. Everybody. It's so cliche, but everybody's still a suspect in our eyes. That's just how we look at things and think as cops.
Yeah, you know what was interesting is that she took an Uber to her
to the family
daughter's house,
yes.
but then they drove her, in theory, they drove her back. But we did learn a little bit more information that the Ring camera was kind of swiped from the door, but we don't have any more answers.
Nope.
And another day has gone by. We're going to talk about a lot more, that topic and a lot more tomorrow at 3 for the Reardon Roundtable. Former State Senator Jeff Smith, Greg Keller, both on the panel. Sue, I'm off to watch The Traitors.
Oh, have fun.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Improving on the roads. We look fine through North County. We look good on the bridges downtown. Where we still have some volume is east and westbound 6440 approaching Big Bend. And southbound 170 a little slow as well, ramping on to eastbound 40. But other than that, we look great. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Sponsored by Kalshi. Trade on anything. The big game is here, and now you can trade on football legally nationwide on Kalshi. Right now, New England is trading at 32%.